Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Wembley Stadium for the second semi-final between Crystal Palace and Chelsea, an all-London affair. Yesterday's semi-final was an absolute cracker. Let's hope today's semi-final is going to be just as good. Terrific atmosphere, and we'll be joining our A team of commentators, Chris Whiteman and Trevor Sports, very, very soon. Chris Whiteman is going to be doing our first main commentary for the TCO. I've done a few co-coms in the past. Just a couple of full times just to keep you abreast of in the Premier League. Newcastle scored a late winner to beat Leicester by 2-1. I'll give you full details of that later at half-time. And Burnley have got a creditable point, even though they had a penalty at 1-0 up to score. Maxwell Cornet missed it. Weghorst scored the Burnley goal, and Souček got the equaliser for West Ham 18 minutes from time. But the game has been overshadowed by a sad injury, a horrible sickening injury to Ashley Westwood, who's broken one of his ankles. There was a lot of distress about and everything else. And we at the TCO wish Ashley very much the very best of luck in his recovery, and we wish him all the very best. It's not a nice thing to see. Memories of David Bust, Eduardo Silva, and Aaron Ramsey come streaming back straight away. But it's one of those things. But despite all that, I think a creditable draw for Burnley today, and they go into that match on Thursday night against Southampton knowing that if Everton get beat the night before, then Burnley are within a win of Everton. But it's all about the FA Cup this afternoon. A place at Wembley on the 14th of May is up for grabs. Chelsea beaten heroically on Tuesday night in the Champions League after extra time in Madrid. And the holders went out in a blaze of glory. But Crystal Palace, well, Patrick Vieira's got a great record as a player in the FA Cup. 5 winners' medals with Arsenal. And he's unbeaten in 19 games as player and manager, dating back to April 2004. And Crystal Palace have got a decent record in cup semi-finals. Don't discount them. 1990, they were 2-1, 3-1 down, and Alan Pardew scored a late winning goal to send them to Wembley and came within an inch of beating Manchester United, eventually losing out in a replay. So it's all up for grabs here. The teams will be on their way shortly. And what an atmosphere it promises to be. Mark Bright is in the crowd. And what a proud moment for him. He was in that Palace side, of course, back in 1990. It's a great occasion. The Palace fans are there. There is one notable absentee. I'm sure Chris will give you more info on this when we hand over to him in a couple of seconds, in a couple of minutes' time when the teams come out. But just to remind you that Conor Gallagher, who's on loan from Chelsea, does not play because of the loan agreement between the two sides. So that's a big loss for Crystal Palace this afternoon. But a terrific atmosphere being building. It's been building like this at down Wembley Way. South London and proud is the banner. Edouard Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper, who played a really important role in the Carabao final when they were there a couple of months ago. Myself and Paul James, I was standing in that very spot when he made that magnificent double save from Sadio Mane, even though he was replaced by Kepa Arrizabalaga, who blown the decisive penalty over, which gave Liverpool their first League Cup triumph for over a decade. But the Palace players are also in the tunnel. Wembley's packed. It's all set. We've got typical semi-final weather. The sun is out. It's warm. It's 18 degrees centigrade. It's humid. It's going to be hot down on that pitch for those players. There's a slight breeze, but the atmosphere, let me tell you guys, is white up. Live here on the TC Hub and all TC Hub platforms. It's Crystal Palace and Chelsea for a place in the FA Cup final. And let me hand over to your commentary team, Trevor Sports. But first of all, a very good afternoon to Chris Whiteman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wembley. Crystal Palace against Chelsea, a fixture which goes all the way back to 1976 since they last met in this competition. It finished 3-2 to Palace that day. Let's hope for another exciting FA Cup affair between these two. Team news as the teams get ready in the tunnel. We'll start with Crystal Palace. Jack Butland retains his place in goal, given that he's been playing in the FA Cup all season for them. Ward, Anderson, Gay and Mitchell, who passed a late fitness test, start in the defence. A three-man midfield of Schlupp, Kouyaté and MacArthur, who has the captain's armband today. And then as the front three, Eze, Mateta, and Wilfried Zaha lead the line for them. And for Chelsea, lots of changes, 3 changes, in fact, after the loss to Real Madrid, agonising defeat in the Champions League. As Mendy starts in goal, Rudiger, Christensen, and Azpilicueta start as a 3-man back three. James and Alonso, while the wing backs, Jorginho and Kovacic, hold down the midfield spaces. Mason Mount and Timo Werner sit behind Havertz, who leads the line today. Thiago Silva, Kante, and Loftus-Cheek only fit enough for the bench today. But it's an exciting atmosphere. Crystal Palace fans are making a heck of a lot of noise and waving a heck of a lot of flags too. They're probably not going to be able to see too much from a Crystal Palace perspective before the game kicks off, but it certainly is looking to be an exciting affair. And joining me in the co-commentary box today is my good friend and colleague, Trevor Sports. Welcome, Trevor. How are you feeling about this exciting semi-final we got in front of us?
I think we've got the potential to see a cracking game. If you look sort of in midweek, Chelsea, a bit of a wounded animal, but they did play some brilliant stuff against Real Madrid. But Crystal Palace have been the dark horses of the Cup. And if they get their game plan right and Palace get a bit of luck, I really feel that we could see a big upset this afternoon.
Indeed. Do you think Patrick Vieira's previous experience in the FA Cup will help galvanise this Palace side today?
Well, I think you can see that with most of the season, really. It's taken a little while for Vieira to sort of imprint his dynamic in the Crystal Palace. We know how he played. He was a player with great skill, but great strength and excellent determination. It's really very difficult to play against. And I think that's the same for Crystal Palace. There's good skill there, but they're difficult to play against. They're difficult to get through. And he's definitely sort of got a good team building spirit in with this club. And all he's got to do is remember that potentially if Chelsea are just slightly rattled, this could be their day.
Indeed. Of course, when it comes to the FA Cup, 4 substitutes are allowed and a 5th in extra time. Do you think that might play more into the hands of Chelsea? Obviously, they've got a lot of talent available to them on the bench, the likes of Silva, Kante, Lukaku. Do you reckon that will give them an edge, maybe going later on into the game?
It may do, but if you saw what happened yesterday, the team that started with the weaker lineup got punished. So from Crystal Palace's standpoint, Chelsea very much have got the players to change the game. Palace themselves, I think, have potentially got the players to cause a difference before any substitutions are needed.
Have you got any players to watch for either side? Any particular ones that stand out as the teams are now on the pitch as we go through this?
Eberechi Eze for Crystal Palace, I think, is a brilliant talent. Really excited to watch him. I think he's going to be an excellent player. In terms of Chelsea, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because they're pushing their wing-backs a long way forward at the moment. Cesar Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso essentially playing as left and right midfielders at the moment. I think for Chelsea, the key for them is going to be Kai Havertz. I think he's going to lead the line. But look out for Mason Mount. He's going to cause problems. For Palace, though, it's can they find their finishing boots? And Zaha can be a bit inconsistent. If he gets consistent today, it could be a great game.
Well, Zaha on his day can be world class, and at Wembley he has a little bit of a love affair with it. He's done particularly well for Crystal Palace at Wembley in the past for them. See if he can sprinkle a bit more of that FA Cup magic. So we have all the players on the pitch. Referee Anthony Taylor is just walking around the centre circle, just making sure everybody's got 11 players on the pitch. Speaking of the officials on VAR duty, should we require it, is John Brooks. The linesmen, Gary Beswick and Adam Nunn. And then the 4th official is David Coots. So we are nearly ready to go. The atmosphere is electric. Got a few balloons on the pitch, which may cause problems should the ball bounce off them. Generally speaking, they are blue and red ones of Crystal Palace. Maybe looking to get an advantage. Of course, we remember the famous beach ball goal, which Liverpool suffered, although I think the goalkeeper, Jack Butland, has just put them to one side to potentially avoid that hazard later on. So we're just about ready to go. As Wembley is full to the rafters, certainly in the fan areas. There are still a few VIP seats left available, as I dare say they're probably just downing their drinks from at the bar and making their way rather gingerly to their seats. Referee is happy as we get set to kick off. As we take the knee. Obviously, racism has no space in this sport, or anywhere, in fact. So, 150 years of the FA Cup, and it's a semi-final to decide who will go to play Liverpool in the final. There's a lot of play immediately on that far side. And now back into the Chelsea defence. Here's Christensen, going back to his goalkeeper Mendy. Here's Rudiger, playing on this left-hand side as a centre-back, as he looks to send it forward. Looking for Havertz. Runs into trouble up against Ward. He's gone out for a throw. Ward throws it in fact. Here is MacArthur, the captain for today. The actual club captain for Crystal Palace, Milivojevic, is currently on the bench as the referee has blown his whistle. Just want to get rid of some of the balloons, which there are quite a lot that have been in the stadium. I think it might be a recurring theme, as it's a drop ball, just to get us back underway, as the referee wanted the balloons popped. As we pass the first minutes. Now, Chelsea, with that front three, they are kind of pressing quite high up. Do you think, Trevor, that Chelsea are going to look to press highly, or do you think the fatigue potentially from the Champions League might just allow them to give Palace a bit more time on the ball?
I think if Chelsea are going to feel the fatigue, they're going to feel it later on in the contest, to be honest. I mean, let us not mistake, but for a moment of brilliance by Luka Modric, they'd be Champions League semi-finalists right now. But I think Chelsea's game is very much around that sort of high press, and you can see that perhaps in the choices they've chosen not to bring in Lukaku and so forth. They've got players that will work that line. The quick thing is for Palace, can they get with the ball in behind?
Well, they nearly did there as Ward was marauding forward, as Christensen is having to hoof the ball over his head and out for a throw, just on the edge of Chelsea's defensive third. 2 minutes gone. If you want to sync your pictures with our commentary, currently on 203, 204, 205. So, Ward just having a quick chat with the linesman. I think there's more balloons they're having to wait for. It's going to be a recurring theme, that I feel. As we're ready to go again. Ward with one hand on the ball. Throws it in. Eze goes back on himself, back towards his defence. MacArthur. Now switching it wide to Gay. Being forced to go all the way back to his goalkeeper, Jack Butland. Jack Butland's having a bit of a interesting spell in his career. At one point was being pushed for England #1. Now he's kind of had a bit of a period in his career, obviously when he had time at Stoke, where he's been finding first-team football difficult to come by. Do you think this FA Cup run will do his confidence some good, as a long ball's gone over the top, but it's been dealt with by Christensen? What do you think of Butland, Trevor?
Oh, well, if you'd asked me 4 years ago, Butland for me would have been my choice as England's #1 at the World Cup in Russia. But it turns out that Pickford was the chosen, and England went with that. It turned out to be the right choice, to be fair. I think Butland, yes, an FA Cup run is good, but this man needs to play top-flight football week in, week out. He needs to be a #1. He's got some skills and some quality there, but the inconsistency of just being the cup goalkeeper, I don't think is going to be enough for his career to thrive from.
He's certainly shown in the past that he can be one of the best goalkeepers in the country, if not the best. So it's good to see him play nonetheless, as we've got a free kick just in line with the technical area on the far side in Chelsea's half. Eze heads over to take the free kick. Anthony Taylor's blown his whistle. So the ball looking to go in. Whipped in towards Kouyaté. Headed up, not quite away. Rudiger has a second go. Ball is knocked further away, but MacArthur is going to pick it up and send it all the way back to goalkeeper Jack Butland, who's had quite a few touches already. As Crystal Palace just having most of the possession in this first 4 minutes or so. Once again, going back to their goalkeeper. Long ball forward. Again, looking for Mateta, but it's come to Alonso now. Chelsea now looking to go back to their goalkeeper, although Christensen has said, no, I'll have that. Brings it to the edge of his box and plays it across. James being forced to play it into a dangerous position as Crystal Palace pressing quite highly up, forced to go all the way back to Mendy once again. Rudiger now with a little bit of time. Alonso once more. Back to Rudiger. Again, four Palace players pressing highly up. Rudiger sends it forward, looking for Havertz, and that's referee Anthony Taylor put his whistle to his mouth, but hasn't blown. Advantage played. Clever bit of play there. There's Mateta heading towards the corner flag, up against Rudiger. He's got 2 Chelsea players on him. And Alonso has just about got it there, and the linesman has blown for a free kick in Chelsea's favour. Chelsea just under a little bit of pressure there. The high press from Palace this time.
Well, pressing's all about the modern game at the moment, and as soon as somebody works out how to beat it, it'll change in due course, as they did with everything. But good press, good thing you want to be able to put the opposition under pressure, and you can see the way in which Palace are lining up as well with that sort of high press, and their attacking 3 really are trying to, probably as you said, Chris, put these Chelsea players under a bit of pressure after the fatigue of their midweek exploits in Europe.
Yeah, it's all the travelling involved, obviously coming back from Spain. Maybe a little bit of jet lag, perhaps, that they would have to shake off. Might be a little bit sluggish early doors. First 6 minutes, Palace have certainly enjoyed more of the possession anyway. On ball forward looking for Havertz, but it's been headed off the pitch by Havertz himself. It's a throw on this near side. Just in line with the edge of the centre circle. Throws it forward, looking for Mateta again. Christensen has picked up the pieces from the rebound. Into Kovacic. Good 1-2 with Jorginho. And now James is looking to head down that far side into the Crystal Palace half. Got a bit of support on the right-hand side. Quick, clever passing. Mount's got his foot on the ball, but not quite as MacArthur gets a toe in. Looking for Wilfried Zaha. Clever feet. Looking to try and get the ball forward to Mateta. Mateta's got beyond Christensen. And his heavy touch just lets it go all the way back to Mendy. I think Christensen might have got a toe on that, in fact, as Mendy didn't pick it up. And now Rudiger looking to just get the ball forward. Gets it back from Mason Mount. And here he is again, Mason Mount, bringing it over the halfway line on this near side. Got MacArthur for company with him. Shows a clean set of heels, nearly getting past him. Leads him into Ward. Chelsea just quick passing, keeping possession. Kovacic. Jorginho under pressure, though, from Mateta. Has to go back to Christensen. Recycles it nicely to James. Chelsea just holding the ball on the halfway line here as their spell of possession is beginning. Crystal Palace just having to work hard to try and get the ball back. Here is Mason Mount. Gets it wide to Alonso. Heading towards the byline on the edge of the Crystal Palace box. Back to Kovacic. Jorginho once again. Kovacic quickly plays it back to Rudiger. And the ball comes back to Christensen in the centre circle. Sends it wide to James. See Patrick Vieira on the edge of his technical area, barking orders at his Crystal Palace players. Arms folded. Ball switched over to Rudiger in a little bit of space. Eze's come across. Rudiger looking for Mount. Wilfried Zaha's come back to collect the ball and he's got his team back possession and now he's on his way. Zaha in a foot race, just not quite quick enough to get there as Christensen positioned himself well. And now it's back to Mendy. Chelsea just growing into the game a bit, Trevor.
Yeah, if you look at the midfield, it's lots of players that are very comfortable on the ball. And, you know, Reece James there at right back, he really impressed at midweek. And I think, as I said, Havertz is the key for getting this team going. It's just going to be a case at the moment, as you can see there, the moments Chelsea do lose it, Palace try to break forward. And again, Chelsea employing their press. Tactically at the moment, it's a real chess match. I think this game's got the potential to be a lot tighter than yesterday's match. Not necessarily as a degree to the quality, but of the way in which the two sides are playing. Ball nearly broke to Timo Werner inside the Crystal Palace box there as, well, Crystal Palace not clearing their lines, and now Chelsea have the ball deep in Crystal Palace possession. Mason Mount harrying. Now it's Kovacic looking to whip the ball in, looking for Timo Werner. Clever pass back to Mounts on this near side. Mount looking to bend it in from distance, but it's straight into the chests of Jack Butland, who took that easily. Well, good bit of early confidence for him. Yeah, it will be for Mount. I mean, if you look at this is his technique. He's got a lovely way where he can get some real whip on the ball. And look at the way that violently dips in front of Jack Butland. He's got a bit of the David Beckham, the way Mount can strike a ball. And definitely Crystal Palace, they don't want to allow him the opportunity to go across goal on that right foot, but just a little sighter.
Indeed, all that could have done is hit a divot, and that could have gone anywhere. But fortunately, the groundskeepers at Wembley are at top of their game, and it fell kindly to them. Here's Rudiger now, just on the edge of the centre circle for Chelsea, as they are keeping the pressure on Palace right now. Rudiger once more. Jorginho sends it back to Kovacic, just exchanging passes between them. Now here's Mount. He's just kind of floating here, there, and everywhere for Chelsea at the minute. Kovacic once more. Lovely turn of pace. Kovacic just stumbling on the edge of the semicircle on the edge of the Crystal Palace box. Nothing given. And then a push over by Mason Mount on Eze. Gives away a free kick in Palace's favour. Well, again, quick passing again from Chelsea. Almost unlocking the Palace defence, but they just about held firm here. Is this a foul, do you think?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think you can give that as a foul, to be honest. Brush yourself off, mate, and get back on with it.
Indeed. I did see a replay just after I asked that question, and yes, Kovacic did lose his balance. Longer studs may be required there. There's a long ball sent forward by Palace has gone out for a throw-in Chelsea's favour on the edge of their defensive third. Patrick Vieira once again barking out instructions. His career has certainly been building over time. Obviously, he's had a couple of spells in management before Palace. Obviously, he started it at New York City as part of the Manchester City setup. And then I think it was Nice for a little bit in Ligue 1, which was a tricky spell for him, I think.
You've got the quality of Patrick Vieira as the player, and he definitely understood the tactical side of the game well, even though sometimes the temperament was lacking. But in his maturity, I think he's got the potentials of a top-class coach to be had there.
Well, he certainly had the playing career for it. Names Arsenal, Inter Milan, and sort of laid a few foundations in that couple of years at City, didn't he? Won an FA Cup there as a long ball forward looking for Werner, but lovely recovering challenge there from Anderson. Getting it back to his goalkeeper. Long ball forward. Mateta just couldn't quite get it under control, and now Chelsea have it once more. James having to go all the way back to Mendy, just on the edge of his own box here. Knocks it on to Rudiger. Kovacic to Mount on this near side. Back to Rudiger. Christensen once more. I think the sun might be a problem for Mendy in this first half. It's beaming down on his box right now.
Yeah, it's one of the unique things about Wembley. You never really had it in the old ground. You do have it here, just where they've moved the stadium sort of 100 yards or so up towards the Wembley High Roads. Yes, it will be to begin with. I don't think it's going to become too much of an issue, though, especially if your opposition have got the ball in the other side of the pitch.
As we break away here, as a corner to Chelsea just coming in here, as Havertz broke away down this near side, tried to get it into Werner, who attempted a cross, and it was blocked out for a corner. First set piece of the day. Well, first major set piece of the day. We did have a free kick earlier for Crystal Palace, but first corner. Right in front of the Palace faithful. Everyone lining up. Referee looks relatively happy with everything. Looks like it's going to be James to take this one. Right foot in swinger. I say the ref looked happy. Just having a quick word. And we're good to go now. So James to deliver from this near side. Whips it in towards the near post. Headed up. Not quite away onto the edge of the Palace box. It's not quite cleared, although that has fallen kindly. And it is rolled out for a Crystal Palace goal kick. Bit of a nothing set piece there from Chelsea, as Crystal Palace dealt with it reasonably well. Thomas Tuchel certainly had a job on his hands to rally the troops once again after that heartbreaking Champions League defeat midweek. They did technically win outright the match, but not the entire two-legged tie, which is just one of those things when it comes to the Champions League. For the moment, they are still technically champions of Europe. They haven't handed the trophy back as of yet. Butland sends the goal kick forward as we approach the 15-minute mark. Headed away by James, picked up by Anderson. pushing forward into the Chelsea half. Still going forward, Anderson. Kelly looking to dink the ball forward, looking for Mateta. Can he keep it in play? He does keep it in play, but tries to hook it across the face of goal, and Mendy came out and claimed it. Quickly gets us back underway, rolling it out to Alonso. Kovacic, just keeping on a possession, goes back to Rudiger once more. Christiansen bringing it up towards the centre circle. Into the centre circle he goes, plays it wide to Kovacic. Now Mason Mount on this left-hand side with Timo Werner. Rudiger once more. Mason Mount just kind of floating around, playing wherever he wants, really, in this game so far, Trevor.
Well, that's his ability. I mean, Chelsea don't have themselves like a distinctive number 9. Werner's out playing essentially as a left winger at the moment with Alonso. So it's sort of allowing Mount that sort of freedom to move around. And that's probably where he's most effective. If he can link up with Havertz, I think that's where Chelsea are going to try and make the understatement. Obviously, it doesn't work. There are players that can change that, namely Romelu Lukaku. But we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, a lot of cards that Thomas Tuchel can play later on in the game. As it looked like a foul there on the Palace player, but they're going to get a throw for their troubles. It's the FA Cup added that added element of more substitutions than in the league, although I think that has recently changed. It's 4 substitutes in normal time and 1 extra in extra time, as we see Romelu Lukaku on the bench, just recovering from, I think he had a heel injury that he's still yet to shake off. A lot of talk about his future, Romelu Lukaku, as there always seems to be questions about his commitments at Chelsea as a long ball goes all the way through to Jack Butland. What do you make of Lukaku's current transfer potential at the minute? Because he seems to always be linked all the time to somewhere else.
He does, and that's probably down to the pace and the football that he's playing. I think the Premier League might just be a tad too quick for him at this level. I know he's excelled with the likes of sort of West Brom and Everton, but that wasn't at sort of the high level you would get further up the table. No disrespect to those sides. Both played some quality football. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think Romelu Lukaku, his biggest problem is when it's the top-class games, and to be honest, he had the same problem at Manchester United, just seems to not be able to find those key moments. It's that slight hesitation that I think works against him and works for him more in Italian football, with the slight slower pace of the game just allows him to make a few more decisions.
Yes, it's not quite happened for him in the Premier League. At time, he has shown his brilliance, and obviously when he was at Inter Milan, he looked fantastic. But it just hasn't quite worked out for him at the top flight of English football, which he has been around a long time, though. Of course, he did burst onto the scene initially with Chelsea. Let's remember, this is his second spell with the team. He's had that Drogba kind of vibe to him before his career kind of went here, there and everywhere. But anyway, back to the current game. As Jack Butland has a free kick just to the left of his penalty area, which he's going to send long down the left-hand side for Palace. Looking for Mateta. Throw has been given in Palace's favour, just on the edge of the Chelsea's defensive third. Kouyate looking to throw this one in. It was Mitchell, sorry. Mitchell, local lad, has recently had a couple of call-ups to the England team. Played against Switzerland, in fact. Is certainly a young upcoming prospect, both for Palace and England. It's always good when a local lad makes their way into the team. It just gives them a little bit more. It's the same with Trent Alexander-Arnold, I suppose, for Liverpool. When you've got a local lad playing for them, it just gives them that extra gear to go into when it means the most.
It's also that ability to ground the players and just sort of remind them of what the games mean, and that sometimes as a local person you can sort of pick things up a bit better. I mean, you'd have to live in the area to understand the fierce rivalry between Aldershot and Woking, I can tell you that.
Indeed, and certainly the very interesting rivalry with Palace that Brighton have. It's certainly one of those odd ones that you wouldn't initially expect, but I dare say Mitchell very much knows the stakes when it comes to that fixture.
Oh yeah, the battle of the M23, pretty much. That's what those two seems to be separated by, but they're generally not far from one another. It's a 40-minute journey, and you're at one side, and it's a unique rivalry. But I'm sure if Palace were to get one over Chelsea, Chelsea would certainly have a spring in their step once they play next time.
Indeed. Here is Mateta. Sends it back to Mitchell. Eze lays it back to his captain, MacArthur. Here's Kouyaté, now Anderson, sending it forward. Eze once more, dropping deep, getting it out wide. This time to Ward. Eze again has Kovacic for company and is forced back to Kouyaté. Here's Anderson. Switching it to Mitchell now. Looking to bring it forward. As Chelsea get a toe in their own half, and now Kovacic looking to get the ball forward. Just can't quite get it to Timo Werner. Kouyaté with a wonderful interception. Mateta gets it wide. Schlupp. Mitchell once more in a robust challenge. I think it was with Jorginho getting involved there. Mitchell getting the ball off Patrick Vieira, who is still constantly throwing instructions out there to try and make some kind of difference. As we hit the 21st minute. Thrown forward, looking for Mateta. James gets it up the line to Mount. Mount can't get it past MacArthur, but has a throw. As we said, the Palace captain, Milivojevic, only fit enough for the bench today, so MacArthur has the armband. And the other man with the armband today as well, Azpilicueta, putting the throw in on that far side. Another robust challenge going in, this time from Schlupp. Referee has given a throw to Chelsea on this one. Azpilicueta will have a second go at the throw-in. Jorginho trying to go back to James, who... Not sure who that came off last. I think it's going to go in Chelsea's favour, the throw-in. In line with the edge of the penalty area, as Gareth Southgate, we can see in the stands. As I said, certain interest in Mitchell, but various other English players that are currently involved. Obviously, James is one to pay attention to as a potential right-back option. And potentially Jack Butland if he has a good game today. Chelsea looking to switch the play onto this near side. Alonso can't quite keep it in play, and it's gone out for a throw just inside the Crystal Palace half. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is currently getting ready on the bench. Not sure if there's a problem, perhaps, for one of the Chelsea players. So, we'll see what Thomas Tuchel potentially has in mind here. I can see Kovacic is... Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say, Kovacic looks to be struggling at the moment, and obviously Loftus-Cheek ability to run quite easily, but yeah, Kovacic looks like he's been struggling for a while now.
Certainly would be an interesting plot twist. Didn't Loftus-Cheek have a loan spell at Palace, if I remember correctly?
We shall have to ask our host with the mostest at half-time, see if he can confirm that for us.
It's certainly also in front of Gareth Southgate at Wembley. Potential good showing here. Might pique his interest. Certainly made an effect in the England setup through the age groups. Here is James now for Chelsea, just inside the Crystal Palace half. They win a throw, just on the edge of the Crystal Palace defensive third. As referee just holds the throw for a second, as MacArthur has to do his shoelaces. Kovacic is moving a bit gingerly. He's still on the pitch, though. So whether he's just giving it a couple of minutes, but although that looks pretty certain, Loftus-Cheek is kissed up and ready to go and receiving instructions. So I dare say we may be seeing a substitution very shortly. Here's Rudiger inside the Crystal Palace half as he looks to get it in for Kai Havertz, who nods it towards goal, but straight into the hands of Jack Butland. Kovacic is now down, so I think we're going to see the substitution. Just seeing what may have potentially caused the injury here. That was when he fell over on the edge of the box earlier in the game, which may have caused this injury.
It looks like he's rolled his ankle there, Chris, I think, and he's done well to soldier on from it, but, you know, rolling your ankle is not the most comfortable, and I think it's got to the point where, you know, I'll run it off, I'll be okay, and maybe the sensible decision is to sort of to let someone else that can move a bit more freely come on. But it'll be a good opportunity for Loftus-Cheek to show what he can do in front of Mr. Southgate.
Indeed, day out at Wembley has just turned into an appearance at Wembley for Loftus-Cheek, which his spell at Chelsea has been very hit and miss. He's always been kind of on the peripheral, not really given a major run. This might be the chance to make a name for himself.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, he went to the World Cup 4 years ago and was the sort of the player that England were looking to change things. But it's amazing how that you look at the England team of 4 years ago and the current setup, and you'd say now that Loftus-Cheek is probably not travelling on the plane to Qatar. But if you wanted to show what you're about, the next sort of hour and 5 minutes is certainly how to do it.
Of course, he was involved in the Real Madrid fixture in midweek, so he's clearly not feeling any rustiness or fatigue from that particular encounter. And straight into this one, 25, well, more or less 26 minutes in, as we're seeing the Palace Ultras certainly giving it large. Crystal Palace fan base is notorious for being one of the loudest in the Premier League, if not the loudest. They certainly make Selhurst Park rock, let alone Wembley. Jack Butland sending it forward. It's gone straight through to Mendy. What do you think of the fan base for Crystal Palace, Trevor? They're certainly one of the noisy ones.
Well, you've got to remember, there isn't a lot of choice for top-class football in South London. So, you look at what else they've got with them. Well, you're hitting the Isle of Dogs, you're going to Millwall, you're going down right towards the edge of the river, you hit Charlton. Anything sort of proper South London, it's Palace or nothing really. So they've got a brilliant support which is out there. It's not an easy place to get to. You've not got the tubes and everything else, and when you do get there, you've got a bunch of loyal fans. But also, let's not forget they're extra loud not only here at Wembley. I think they realise they're onto something special in this team that Patrick Vieira's inherited from Roy Hodgson, and is definitely developing them that step further that was required. So I think this is certainly the fans here that are making the noise, because at the end of the day, I think they know they could be onto something really special. And if they get a place in the cup final, I think we're going to hear them from not only North London, I think north of England we will hear them.
Indeed. Just had the free kick there where it was dinked in, but 16 ran into 16 and Anderson running into Mendy, and Mendy came out on top because he can use his hands. There's another free kick has been given, and it's gone in Chelsea's favour, just inside their own half. Thomas Tuchel is enraged about that challenge. He's certainly more animated than I've seen him in a while. He came steaming off his bench there. Long ball forward sent by James on the ground. It just couldn't quite get it to Werner. Anderson did get a toe on it, though, to prevent him getting there, and it's another corner to Chelsea. The noise level just going up a little bit. Well, James had a dress rehearsal corner earlier on in the game. See if we can do a bit better with this one. Everyone just lining up. Anthony Taylor happy with everything so far. Checking where everyone is. Linesman is at the opposite corner flag. James with a hand in the air. Looks to deliver this one in. Whips towards the front stick. Headed away. This time by Joel Ward. Another corner.
And perhaps this is going to be a problem for Chelsea. Maybe a little bit of lack of height that they're going to have when attacking from corners is going to show. But one thing to watch out for, look how nicely everyone's playing there. There's no much sort of a niggling which is going on there at the moment. It shows the game's been playing in a good spirit.
Ball's whipped in. It's rebounded to the edge of the box. Mount tried to get there, but Wilfried Zaha hooks it out of the box. And now Mateta gets it forward. Zaha knocks it on, gets it past his man. He's in a foot race once again. It's going to fall kindly to Ward. Zaha just can't quite get a toe on it, and it falls all the way kindly to Mendy. Quick counter-attack there from Palace, almost coming off.
Oh, brilliant work there by Crystal. And it's been the whole part of the game here, Crystal Palace, looking to play Chelsea on the counter-attack. And I think, Ward, that was an excellent idea to find Zaha, but, just sort of the pace of the defender was too much in the end.
It's now Timo Werner heading down this near side, heading to the byline, looking for bodies in the box. Cross goes across, and it was a horribly scuffed volley from Azpilicueta. That's going to be one for the gaff books, as it skews slowly, not particularly handsome, way wide, closer to the corner flag than goal, unfortunately for him. It gets ironic jeers from the Palace fans, and it was, well, Paolo Di Canio-esque in everything. Well, it wasn't even remotely close.
It was flat off his knee there. I mean, we've already seen one of the all-time great volleys scored at Wembley yesterday by Sadio Mane. I like the idea. The execution has a little bit to be desired on that one. But if he puts out the back of his mind and scores another beauty like that, I think we'll turn around and say fair play.
Indeed. As we're seeing Vieira talking to his assistant manager, making sure everyone's happy about how this is going. Half an hour in, Palace, I think, can be pretty happy with how they've played so far.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea haven't been allowed to dominate the game how they would hope. I mean, they're dominating possession, but in terms of the game, it's a much tighter affair than yesterday's. And, as this game wears on, is fatigue going to be a factor for Chelsea? At the same time, will it affect Crystal Palace because they're having to chase the game so much at the moment? It's just so brilliantly poised. This it may even be just settled by the first goal scored potentially today. Has a feeling of that semi-final that we're watching here.
Or it could open the floodgates. You never know. This is the FA Cup. There's Loftus-Cheek getting his first major touch of the ball. Chips it wide here to Rudiger. A bit of a heavy touch, but he had plenty of space to run into on this near side. Back into Loftus-Cheek. Timo Werner was making a run, but chooses to go back to Rudiger. Rudiger pushing quite high up into the Crystal Palace half. So we're seeing Christensen now doing the same. Rudiger once more. Eze out to challenge him. Finds Werner. Finds Alonso on this near side touchline. Forced to go backwards though by Ward. Rudiger once more. Pretty much all of Chelsea's players, barring the goalkeeper, is in Crystal Palace's half right now. Here's James looking to whip in a fast cross, but headed away. Only as far as Mateta. Zaha once again trying to get onto it and launch a counter-attack, but Chelsea are smart to it. Rudiger once again. Possession on this left-hand side, just inside Crystal Palace's half. Jorginho looking to switch it out wide. Here's Werner. Gets it into Alonso, who once again, Crystal Palace holding firm. Just happy to let Chelsea have possession this far out from goal. Good challenge there by Crystal Palace's defence. Schlupp sent that long and out of the danger zone. Chelsea still have possession though. Jorginho again. Gets it back. Christensen plays it wide here again. Rudiger getting a lot of the ball on this left-hand side. Looking for Alonso. Keeps it just in play. Up against Ward. Looking to try and get a cross in. Alonso does get a cross in. It's fallen towards the back stick. Headed away. Only as far as Mount, who scuffed it. And that's gone over the bar. Just from the edge of the D. And another half chance for Chelsea there. Just not quite getting the execution right on these half chances.
Oh, Chelsea just starting to see more of the play and create half of the chances, and just showing particularly why they're able to overload Crystal Palace. But Crystal Palace seem to be doing that deliberately. The fact that they go ahead and are defending much tighter in the middle, and you can see there, even when Mason Mount had the opportunity to shoot, there were two defenders and a goalkeeper ahead of him, and it always takes something special to score from outside of the box. And while you may be able to tempt fate, if that's the only way the opposition are going to be able to take chances, then it allows you to grow in the game. But just watch Chelsea continue to overload the opposition in wide areas, and Palace continue to defend far central, far happy to take crosses coming in and deal with them.
Indeed. Butland receives the ball from Anderson and sends it long, but it's gone straight into the possession of Marcus Alonso, deep inside his own half. Chelsea looking to bring the ball forward. Here's Jorginho, just on the edge of the centre circle. Challenged by two Crystal Palace players, and Palace have won the ball back deep. There's a possible opportunity here as Kouyaté nearly got it through to Zaha there. Now they've won the ball back again, though. Chelsea just can't quite keep possession at the minute. Mitchell gets it wide to Zaha. Zaha goes down under a challenge from James, and it's a free kick just on the edge of the final third in Chelsea's half. James not particularly agreeing with Anthony Taylor's decision. Anthony Taylor saying, I'm the referee, it's my call.
Well, one thing that you strike with Crystal Palace is they move the ball with great speed, but one of the things to look for is the fact that Chelsea have always got a covering defender, and you saw that it was Christensen that was able to make the interception. And that's the advantage of a back three. you always have one more opportunity to make the interception in that final challenge. It's going to be interesting this, though. This is the first time I think Crystal Palace have had a free kick in which they can go put numbers into Chelsea's box. And they've got some big players there for Crystal Palace. If they are going to go grab a goal, it's going to be from opportunities like this.
And with the sun in Mendy's eyes, anything could happen. So Eze stands over the ball, looking to whip the ball in. Eze delivers towards the back stick. Headed away, it's fallen. Kouyaté! That's a great save from Mendy. Oh, it's off the post. It's fallen for Kouyaté again. Palace nearly scoring. It's Zaha who's in an offside position. And goodness gracious me, we nearly had the first goal of this semi-final. How close can you get?
Well, it was all around causing chaos from the set piece as well. Lovely whip on the ball. And look at the far post. Suddenly completely nobody is across. And be offside when the shot was taken. But the effort here, look at the technique, catches it just brilliantly. And I think Mendy here has got two hands across that, has actually made a really, really good save. Great football.
Yeah, the offside flag going up for Anderson on the rebound where he hit the post, so that wouldn't have counted had it gone in. But it was indeed a fantastic save from Mendy, given that he had maybe half a second to react. Came through a lot of bodies as Chelsea get us back underway. Christensen looking for a pass is Rudiger. Looking to bring the ball forward for Chelsea. Schlupp gets a toe on it, so now MacArthur runs into trouble in the centre circle. Now a ball forward, looking for, well, it was nearly through to Havertz. And now MacArthur is on the ball once more, again for Crystal Palace in his own half. Runs out of options and forced to go back to Anderson, who now finds Kouyaté for Palace. Bringing the ball forward, looking for options. Dinking it forward, looking for Ward, but that's got too much on it. And it's going to go all the way through to Mendy. Quickly picks the ball up and immediately rolls it out to Christensen in the middle of the pitch. Christensen again. Just exchanging passes with Jorginho. And then forced to go all the way back to Mendy once more as Crystal Palace just that triangle 3, just pushing forward, just forcing Chelsea to go backwards. As Rudiger once again. Rudiger seems to have seen a lot more of the ball than anyone else, it seems, at left centre-back, which may well be alarming. Good turn by Werner. Gets past his man. Advancing forward into the Palace half. Oh, it's fallen kindly. Havertz goes down on the edge of the box. Is that a penalty? He's given it the other way and it's a dive. Havertz is going to go into the book for a dive on the edge of the box. That is a brave call by Anthony Taylor.
Well, you can see the frustration on the Chelsea players. I mean, let's have a look at this. Oh, clean as day. That's a great spot by Anthony Taylor. Yes, that's a dive. You can just see it. He just gets a leg out, but there's no contact. Havertz is looking for that. That's the right decision, and that's an excellent spot by the referee. That's simulation booking all day long.
Good spot by Anthony Taylor. And, Havertz goes into the book for simulation, as per the rule book. And, that could have been a controversial moment. I dare say VAR may have bailed him out had he missed it, but he was spot on with the decision. As Butland sends the free kick long. It's going to go straight through to Mendy. As the play resets. But, yes, excellent officiating there by Anthony Taylor. I don't think anyone can have any arguments with that decision, quite frankly, as Gay did indeed. Pulled out of sticking a leg out there. Just kind of feigned it, and Havertz hit the deck. It would have been a tight call. Should he have called it as a free kick or a penalty anyway, because it was right on the line. So either way, we don't have to worry about that too much. As Christensen looking to get the ball forward. Here's James on the far side now for Chelsea. Looking for Havertz once more. Forced to go back. Jorginho switching the play. And once again, Rudiger picking the ball up on the halfway line on this left-hand side. Looking to dink the ball forward. Looking for Havertz. Can he control it? Not quite. And it's rolled all the way through to Jack Butland. Deals with that nicely. So we just entered the 39th minutes. Your thoughts, Trevor?
Well, one of the things to notice with Chelsea is when they have possession, their three centre halves are moving to a 2, and Rudiger's allowed all the space in the world. And from Crystal Palace's standpoint, they're quite happy for him to spray passes around there. They don't see him as a player that can unlock the killer pass, not like a Havertz or a Mountain Company at the moment. And it just goes to show you, really, the best chance has fallen to a Crystal Palace player at the moment. And the way in which the game's gone, you can certainly see why.
Indeed. Now, Schlupp looking to get the ball forward. This far side, here's Wilfried Zaha, just on the edge of the Chelsea box, trying to get past James, but James manhandles him well and fairly. And he's won his team a throw by kicking the ball out off Zaha. Azpilicueta goes across to take the throw as we hit the 40th minute. We've got 5 minutes to go in this first half, which has been an intriguing encounter so far. We've only one real major chance. But both teams just feeling each other out this first half, it seems. Jorginho plays it back to Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta knocks it long, looking for Rudiger. Headed back into the danger zone by Ward. Headed further forward, looking for Timo Werner. Anderson looking to head it down to Mitchell, who has control of the ball. Clever feet. Dinks it forward on this far side, looking for Mateta. Can he get there first? He does get there first. Is that a corner? The referee has given a goal kick, I believe. Close call, that one. Mendy takes it quick. Trevor?
Well, Reece James there is the one player that, Karim Benzema specifically went over to shake his hand with, and he's looked such composure on the ball at the moment from that right back position. The moment Wilfried Zaha's trying to play down there and can get nowhere near anything that Reece James is doing. Have an outstanding game thus far.
Certainly causing headaches when it comes to choosing the right back for England for Gareth Southgate. It's very much the conversation is attack versus defence in terms of who do you pick as your right back, because obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the best attacking fullbacks. James, of course, is very good on the attacking side of things, but I think he probably edges it defensively. And that is a conversation that many England fans, Liverpool and Chelsea fans will have. A bit like Gerrard Lampard, really. It's getting that kind of scenario, that one. Here is Mason Mount.
As long as we don't play three right backs, I think we'll be fine, Chris.
You never know. The heat in Qatar could cause interesting decision making. Here is Alonso on this near side. Plays it back to Rudiger once more. He's probably had more touches of anyone else, let's be honest. Ball switched across to James. Now, Jorginho plays it into Mount. Was looking for Werner, but Loftus-Cheek in a battle of midfield. Eze wins it back. Now Wilfried Zaha hasn't got much support in front of him, but he's won another free kick just inside the centre circle. Christensen gave it away, although I don't think it was the cleanest challenge on both counts. A bit of a clash of knees. He's going to feel that at half-time. Get a nice back on that as quick as you can. As, Anderson is looking to send the free kick forward. He does send it forward, looking for Ward on the run on this near side. Alonso forced to clear it, and it's come off of Ward in the end. Gone out for a Chelsea throw just by the corner flag, this near side. Alonso throws it into Christensen. Rudiger now. Here's Jorginho, just bringing it into his own box. Lays it off to Christensen, switches it across to James. He's got Wilfried Zaha closing him down all the way. Azpilicueta now. Looking for Mount. Azpilicueta trying to send it forward to Mount, but couldn't quite get there ahead of Anderson, who hooks it back over his head and into the Chelsea half. Gets another toe on the rebound. Mitchell now gets a foot on it and calmly sends it back to his goalkeeper. Here is Anderson again. Notice that Kouyaté for Palace has dropped back as a third centre-back a lot of the time this half. It's certainly giving Crystal Palace a lot of options formation-wise with him doing that.
Yeah, both sides playing very fluid formations and really overloading the middle of the pitch. But the one thing to look, as soon as there's the slightest sort of error that comes from Chelsea in the position, look how quickly the likes of sort of Eze and Zaha are getting on the ball and starting to make things happen for Crystal Palace. It's the one thing that you do notice around the game as well is in the last sort of like few minutes, the pace has picked up a bit. Towards half-time, I'm sure they've got their eyes on the half-time break. But I think if either side can get a hold of the ball and increase the pace in which they can move it, then I think that'll be the key to unlocking this game, because there's so many bodies in the middle of the pitch. It's so difficult to do so.
There's a ball thrown in. Anthony Taylor's not happy with something. We're going to retake this throw on the 44.5 minutes in. Mitchell throws it long, looking for Mateta. Christensen has sent that high and up the pitch. Anderson's headed it back wide towards Mitchell. MacArthur hooks it forward, looking for Zaha in challenge with James. James then proceeds to hoof it down the touchline. It's gone out for a throw just inside Palace's half. As we're about to hit the 45th minute. Not sure if there'll be much in the way of injury time. Maybe a minute or two at most. We haven't really had many stoppages. There's 2 added minutes.
Well, you can see all the players here that looks as if they're prepared for half-time. They fancy a cup of tea and a chance to go again, I suspect, at the moment.
Indeed, although it is the perfect time to score a goal because it can be a real momentum shifter as Kouyaté goes down under a challenge. And now, I dare say, everyone's just going to take their time taking this free kick. Anderson's going to just waltz up to it. Maybe launch one last long ball into the Chelsea area. Looking for that man, Mateta. Anderson still pointing, pushing people forward. Anderson sends it long on that far side, looking for Mitchell. Can he get there? He does get there, you know. He's managed to whip it across. It's going to fall to Schlupp on the edge of the box, although James got a toe in, and James hoofs it up the pitch. Fallen to Anderson, who hooks it forward once again, looking for Mitchell once more, who's still pushed high up. It's a throw to Palace, deep in the Chelsea half. Is there one last chance, perhaps, for Palace to create a goal here? Mitchell with the throw on the far side, just on the edge of the Chelsea area. Throws it in towards Zaha, can't quite nod it on. Rudiger has just about got that under control and then sends it long. Kouyaté gets a knee in. Eze with the ball for Palace. 25 seconds to go of this half. Is there one more chance? Eze goes down under a challenge. One more free kick where Crystal Palace can launch it into the danger area this half. As any potential Chelsea danger has probably evaporated this half with that foul. 10 seconds of additional time remaining. Will Anthony Taylor let Eze deliver this one, for that matter? We shall see. As we hit 47 minutes. Ball's whipped in. Towards the back stick. Anderson gets his head on it, headed away. Anthony Taylor puts his whistle to his mouth and blows for half-time. In what has been an intriguing first half. Bit of a tactical battle. We had one major chance coming from Palace. Where the ball did hit the post. Mendy made a great save before that. Aside from that, it's been a very even contest in this London derby, this FA Cup semi-final. It's on a knife edge. It's anyone's game. It's the FA Cup. Who knows what's going to happen in the second half? I'll hand you over to John Sittard now for half-time, and we shall meet you back for the second half.
Thank you very much, CW. Trevor, a couple of real talking points. I'll just go through a couple of talking points with you. The penalty that wasn't the Havertz dive. I've been horribly critical in the last 2 years of Anthony Taylor, especially his handling of a certain game between Italy and Austria at this very stadium last summer. But Trevor, he got it spot on. Even I've got to admit that. What a great decision.
Yeah, absolutely no hesitation in the decision. And as a player, that's what you want. You want your official to make their decision straight away. There's no deliberating or no sort of debating. That's it. And what's going to be good for it? He's seen it. He's spotted it. He's in a good position. You look at him where he's running back in. He's in a good position and able to make that. So well done, referee. That's great refereeing. We don't always do this enough at football, do we, John? We don't always say that's good officiating, because officials can have bad games. They can have good games.
Absolutely.
Player, but we've got a credit in there. He did really well.
Yeah, and I'm as guilty as anybody criticising referees in a lot of the games I do for this hub. Crystal Palace, you could say, have had the best chance. That save from Mendy was absolutely superb. I mean, it's not as good as the one he pulled off in the Carabao final, where he made one of the saves of the century, as far as I was concerned. But the save he made from the edge of the area was unbelievable.
Yeah, it wasn't quite Gordon Banks-esque, like your screaming goal as the shot arrives. But in that situation, you look at all the bodies in front of him. You know, this is why Mendy's comes to the forefront. We all thought, Kepa would be the man, but the save he does here, the key to that Mendy does well is his ability to spring and react quickly. And I say that because you think as a goalkeeper, that should become a guarantee. The ability to react quickly is very difficult in goal when you're a big man and you have to launch your frame across the ground. So credit to Mendy for that, because he's got there quickly and he's strong risks. He's parried it away, it's just excellent goalkeeping all round.
Absolutely. And how do you see the match now? Are it halfway there? I mean, if it still ends a draw after 90 minutes, of course, we've got to finish it on the day, extra time penalties, all that malarkey. What do you reckon? Who do you think will have the better chance going into the second half when it finally balanced at 0-0? Chelsea really haven't exploded as much as we would have liked, but there's still a game to be won. There's still all to play for. What do you think might happen finally in the second half?
Well, Chelsea have the players to influence it, but they were involved in the longer game in midweek. Crystal Palace have got to look for Wembley legs. For those who don't know where Wembley legs are, it's an old syndrome where suddenly that Wembley turf can suddenly feel a bit bigger than what you're used to playing with when you were at your home ground week in, week out. And they've got to watch for the fact that the occasion doesn't get to them too much. Me personally, at the moment, I'm a big advocate for saying that every game I watch is going to finish 4-4. I think this one's going to be settled by the odd goal or by 10 penalty kicks each. I really do.
Right, we'll prepare then for a bit of overtime then tonight, folks. There we go. Okay, thank you, Trevor. You go and have a half-time cuppa and a Kit Kat, and thank you very much, and we'll see you for the second half. Right, let's keep you abreast with what's been happening elsewhere in the world of football and the world of sport, because we've got a 10-minute gap to fill. So, Premier League results, two games have been played today. Newcastle United 2, Leicester City 1. A comeback victory for Eddie Howe's men. Moura with a brace after 30 and 5th minute of second half stoppage time, respectively, after Ademola Lookman had put Leicester, who had a great win at PSV Eindhoven on Thursday night in the Conference League, getting them through to the semi-final, had put them in front. So a very disappointing day for Leicester City, who stayed ninth, but they're safe for at least another season. They're on 40 points along with Brighton, and you would think Brentford as well. Newcastle now move up to the dizzy heights of 14th, and they only need another 3 points to stay in the Premier League, or to guarantee themselves, you'd think, Premier League football next season. At the London Stadium, West Ham, fresh from their exploits at Lyon on Wednesday or Thursday night as well, on the same night. Well, they were held to a 1-1 draw with Burnley. Burnley took the lead through Weghorst after 33 minutes. They were hanging on for grim life until Thomas Souček, a quarter of an hour from the end, made it 1 apiece. And then Nick Pope made 2 magnificent saves in the last few seconds to preserve a decent point, as it turns out, for Burnley. But there was bad news, I'm afraid, for the Clarets. Ashley Westwood broke an ankle during the first half. We had something like 10 minutes of stoppage time there. But it didn't look good. There was a lot of players, unfortunately, from both sides in complete distress. I have seen pictures of the break, and I have to say, if you're squeamish, don't look at it. It's awful. It's an awful picture. But despite all that, Anna Maxwell calling a missed penalty. Despite all that, I think that's a very good point there for Burnley, and it just cranks up a little bit of pressure on Everton. Now, as far as the bottom is concerned of the Premier League, now if we look at the fixtures to come, Everton have got a tough match against Leicester City. If they don't get a positive result at Goodison Park on Wednesday, Burnley can conceivably, if they don't win or lose, in fact, Burnley could potentially really crank up the pressure if they beat Ralph Nelson's Southampton. I actually think the Burnley results, and I think the Burnley performance actually was a very positive result in the terms of the team attitude, the team performance, and of course the players are having to react. There were certain players that weren't playing for Sean Dyche, but if you want my opinion on the whole situation, it came as a bit of a shock to me, and I'm sure Chris Whiteman might say something later. But it came as a bit of a shock when he got sacked, but 4 wins all season, it does tell its own story. But I think Sean Dyche deserved at least until the end of the season. But unfortunately, in this fickle world of football, you never get that chance, even after 10 years loyalty. Loyalty in football these days means absolutely diddly squat right now. Right, okay, right, let's move on elsewhere then to There was also a women's FA Cup semi-final played today at Boreham Wood. Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2. That's the women's FA Cup semi-finals. Brighton and G in an 11-minute period in the second half. 50 minutes, the first goal. 61, the second goal, taking Chelsea through. And they will play Manchester City on the 15th of May in the women's final, a day after the men's FA Cup final. In the Scottish Cup, a terrific semi-final at Hampden Park today between Celtic and Rangers. 0-0 at half-time, and then Taylor put Celtic ahead after 64 minutes. And it looked as if Celtic were going to get the edge over Rangers yet again, having just only beaten them in the Old Firm game just 2 weeks prior to that. And then Harfield on 78, the former Burnley player, scoring another crucial goal in his career, 12 minutes from the end, equalising. And then Starvelt with an own goal, sent 6 minutes from the end of extra time, sent Rangers through to play Hearts in the final, and they beat, of course, Hibs by the same scoreline yesterday afternoon. So Rangers against Hearts in the Scottish Cup final. In the Women's Championship, Bristol City and Coventry drew 1-1. In the La Liga, there's been 2 results in that. Granada, which used to be a TV station, Granada 1, Levante 4, Atletico Madrid 2, Espanyol 1. Atletico Madrid bruised, no doubt, by the rough handling of Manchester City during the week, and they were terrible in that game. Bouncing back from that exit from the Champions League, deserved exit, in my opinion, to beat Espanyol. There's been a result in the German Bundesliga. Arminia Bielefeld 0, Bayern Munich 3. I suppose that was expected. Bayern Munich going really well in that Bundesliga, beaten by Villarreal the other week. There's 2 half-time scores in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin 2, Eintracht Frankfurt, West Ham's European opponents, next to European opponents, 0. That's a half-time score. And so too is Hoffenheim and Greuther Fürth. They're 0-0. We've got a few results in Ligue 1. Nice 2, Lorient 1. Metz and Clermont drew 1-1. Montpellier 1, Reims 1. Nantes 1, Angers 1. Troyes 1, Strasbourg 1. And latest score, Lyon 4, Bordeaux 0. Paris against Marseille, PSG against Marseille, is a 7:45 kickoff. That's just about the results there to give you. So we're all almost set for the second half in just a second or two, but they're just 1 or 2 of the results. Elsewhere, let's just check what's been happening elsewhere in the world of sport. Ronnie O'Sullivan in the snooker, of course. That's underway. Well, he's the world number 1 at the moment. He's been in exceptional form. He had to come from behind, though, to beat David Gilbert 10-5 at the Betfred World Championships. He's aiming for a 7th Crucible crown that will equal the record by Stephen Henry. And he turned the game when he was 3-0 down at 3 frames to 0 down at one point with break, and then he came back with high breaks of 122, 109, and 104. He will now face Irishman Mark Allen or Scott Donaldson in the second round. As for Mark Williams, he begins his quest for a 4th world title against amateur compatriot Michael White. And another Welshman, 20-year-old Jackson Page and Scotland's Stephen Maguire, both lead 6-3 against Barry Hawkins and Sean Murphy, respectively. Those matches will conclude at 7 o'clock tonight. So that's what's happening in the World Snooker Championships down at the Crucible. And so there we go. And a bit of cricket news. Robert Key has been named the England men's cricket managing director. He takes on the role from Andrew Strauss, who stepped in on an interim basis following the sacking of Ashley Giles in February after that disastrous Ashes series. Giles' departure from the job, which he'd taken up, did follow that whitewash, or that Ashes defeat. Key said it's an absolute honour to take up the role, and the chance to have an impact and make a difference is an opportunity given to very few, and I'll give it everything I've got to try and shape the next great era of English men's cricket. And he also gives up his commentary job with Sky to do that. It comes at a time when England are seeking a new head coach and a test captain. Chris Silverwood, of course, was sacked after the disastrous Ashes defeat in Australia. And Joe Root, of course, relinquished the captaincy just 2 days ago. So we're all set to go in a second. We'll wait for the teams to come back out. 0-0 if you've just joined us. And we've had some terrific action, of course. But just to remind you, Ronnie O'Sullivan through in the snooker. Celtic are out, beaten by Rangers in the football. And it has been absolutely brilliant. Also, tennis, just to remind you that Joe Salisbury and partner Rajiv Ram have won the Monte Carlo Masters Doubles Championship. They beat 6-6 Juan Sebastian Cabal and Robert Farrow of Colombia 6-4, 3-6, and 10-7 to win it. In a clinical display, they excelled at both the net and the overhead. Salisbury did, ably supported by Ram's powerful serving and volume. They claimed their first ever clay court title as a pair. So a nice bit of British tennis news there, and maybe British tennis after a long, long time is in completely rude health. So we're waiting for the second half of this FA Cup semi-final, which has been pretty good in the main. And of course, if you fancy a bit of of course, there's Irish Grand National Day tomorrow. Of course, that's on television tomorrow at 2:30. They're just promoting it now on television. So if you like your horse racing, there's the Irish Grand National. Of course, we had a 50-1 shot last week, win the Grand National, with Sam Rayleigh-Cohen going out at the top of his profession as an amateur rider. Can Crystal Palace do a Sam Rayleigh-Cohen in the second half, I wonder? It's going to be a tall order, but I thought they edged the first half. Anthony Taylor, for once, has got a couple of decisions right. And, I didn't think a year ago I'd be praising him on this very day for it. But the sun is out, the sun is shining. We're on a warm day here in the Wembley commentary box. I'm alongside my pals, Chris and Trevor, and Russ and hosting. It's like the Fab Four. It's like we're the Beatles of the commentary hub. We are the Beatles. John, obviously me, John Lennon, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr. I think Russ will make a great Ringo Starr, actually. But there we go. But enough about our producer. But this for a place in the final. We're still waiting on the teams to come out. In fact, Crystal Palace and Chelsea are just about to enter the fray here at Wembley Stadium. So what a great second half. Let's hope for some goals in the second half. And to quote an old Trevor phrase, let's hope we get 8 goals in this second half. It would be lovely. It's wishful thinking, I know, but with Trevor alongside Chris Whiteman in the commentary box, anything's possible. So he's back to the second half as the teams make their way out onto the field. It's back to Trevor and to Chris.
Thank you, John. It's good to be back. It's certainly great to be leading commentary for the first time in a long time for myself. And talk about the FA Cup magic. It's definitely got to be magic if JB is praising Anthony Taylor. That is a definite bit of magic right there. So, no changes that we know of going into the second half. Obviously, we did have that one change during the first half, and Kovacic made way for Loftus-Cheek. And we get underway as Chelsea now attacking the goal to our right. Palace attacking the goal to our left. Get us back underway. There's Rudiger once again on the ball. Is Chelsea just holding it in the back here? And what do you think, Trevor, will be the major things that may affect the second half? Well, I say that as James is just bringing the ball. No, Loftus-Cheek, sorry. Bringing the ball forward. Just thought for a moment there we might get a chance. Still ball going forward by Havertz. Havertz still going. Clever feet. Gets to the byline. Whips across in towards the back stick. Headed up. Not quite away from Anderson. Headed away by Mitchell this time. I'll break to you in a moment, Trevor, once we get a brief moment where play dies down a little bit as the tempo has started at a frenetic pace. As Chelsea just lose out on the ball there. So what do you think are going to be the major factors in this second half, Trevor? If Trevor has taken his microphone out of his tee.
No. I was so mesmerised the fact that apparently Dickie Davis is also John Lennon. It just completely caught me by surprise there. Do you know what? The big thing this game needs is pace. There wasn't enough of it in their first half. Probably down to the way that the formations were done. Thing is, though, if you look at it, a lot of the times Timo Werner has found himself in great positions but there's a line of midfielders that Chelsea have not been able to see him. He's gone more central now. That's a definite change Chelsea have done in the second half. But Crystal Palace, the fact that Chelsea may have been dominating, but they've had the best of chances, they might be quietly confident.
Indeed, as Alonso looking to try and get a ball into the box. Checks back on Ward, but still forced further back this time by Kouyaté. Here is Rudiger on the far side now. Christensen just inside the centre circle. Gets it out wide to James. Now Loftus-Cheek. Azpilicueta on this near side touchline. Has to go back to James. And now Christensen just inside his own half, looking to bring the ball forward. As, all 10 Chelsea players are, outfield players should I say, are in the Crystal Palace half right now. Very attack-minded. James going back to Christensen once again. Christensen just holding the central defensive role. Here is James once more. Jorginho switching the play out wide. Here's Mason Mount. Goes to Rudiger once more. Rudiger looking to switch the play. Cleverly done. Azpilicueta with a lovely touch, but still forced to go back a bit to James. Loftus-Cheek once more. Looking to try and cut the defence. Cut a key pass through, but still Crystal Palace hold firm. Christensen again. Long pass forward across the ground to Havertz. Rudiger again. Now Mason Mount. Quick couple of touches. Balls forward to Havertz once more. And it's gone out for a throw. Certainly more positive start from Chelsea this time.
It's more positive, but look at the fact that their passes are going from one side of the pitch to the other. Crystal Palace are prepared to sit deep and sit as a real tight unit. And Chelsea here are just forcing to play passes across goal. And they can do that all day, I think, from a Palace's standpoint.
Indeed, here's Loftus-Cheek looking for some kind of magic. Now Jorginho. Rudiger once again involved. Getting out wide to Alonso. Jorginho once more, forced to drop deep. Here's Werner, looking for Havertz. Now here's Mount. Can he get a deep cross in? He's looking at it from distance, and he's fired that one over the bar. Well, it was a half chance, that one. Crystal Palace again, quite happy to let Chelsea shoot from well outside the box. Didn't get the angles right with that one, as that one goes very high, and somebody in the crowd didn't quite have the hands to catch it either. They just kind of slept it away. Disappointing. It's not quite like the cricket.
No. You would have saw that caught, and there you go. You would have seen him gone. One of the things with that chance by Mason Mount, it's frustration. It's the fact that you're continuing to have possession, move it around, but you can't find space inside the final third. And that's where Mason Mount, perhaps showing his sort of young, sort of the viriles of youth, the fact that he got a bit frustrated there.
Indeed. Here is Alonso. Gets it back to Werner, just on the byline here. Cutting inside. Though he's met by MacArthur, who wins the ball cleanly. Gets it wide. Now Mitchell. He's got the afterburners on. Can he create something here? He's cut off by Azpilicueta. He's a seasoned veteran at this point. Has won everything you could possibly win at club level now for Chelsea. It's quite the storied career, Azpilicueta. And Chelsea first signed him. I don't think they could have considered how successful he would be. Here's James... Oh, lovely check inside of Zaha, inside his own half. Finding a bit of space for Rudiger. Who's challenged by Eze. Forced to go to Werner. Back to Rudiger once more. And Christensen again. James on this near side, just bringing it over the halfway line now. Pushing centrally. Werner taps it back to Jorginho. James again. On this right-hand side. Azpilicueta hugging the touchline. Loftus-Cheek, just behind him. Loftus-Cheek, quick 1-2. There's a chance. Loftus-Cheek, he's put in a lovely ball towards Timo Werner, and it's hands on it by the goalkeeper, Butland. Half-hearted appeals for a penalty there, but I think Butland had it covered between him and the defender. But it was an excellent ball there through by Loftus-Cheek. First major chance for Chelsea, that one.
Very good chance created. It all comes from the fact that Reece James is quite happy to push forward, and with his quality of movement is definitely there to make chances. The pass through at the moment here, Loftus-Cheek has found Werner. This has been Chelsea's problem. Werner made these great ones in the first half, but no one picked them up. Good strength shown there by Kouyaté. Lovely strength one-on-one.
Well, the ball's dinked over the top again for Timo Werner, who's definitely making more aggressive runs this time. Has to turn inside the box, back across the byline to Azpilicueta on this near side. Chelsea again forced backwards to Christensen. Rudiger now, and he's going to shoot from distance, Rudiger. He does like those ones, and it's gone a long way to the left of goal. Not on target, not particularly difficult to deal with for the goalkeeper because he just watched it go very, very wide.
Well, couldn't lightning strike twice? Probably not, judging by that effort in all fairness. But I think the things that Chelsea need to realise is Rudiger's not terribly comfortable when he pushes up and plays the ball. Reece James is, and you can certainly see Chelsea favouring more playing up through the right-hand side, as I think Patrick Vieira is preparing to make a change, Chris.
It does. Jordan Ayew is kitted up and ready to go. It's just a case of who is he going to come on for. He's a striker. As Eze goes down under a challenge from Rudiger, and a free kick for Crystal Palace in a decent position for swinging a ball in for a cross. As Patrick Vieira just in discussions with Jordan Ayew as to what he wants to do. He's got 4 fingers up, so potential front 4 perhaps. That would be bold.
Maybe he's telling him the amount of goals he wants him to score in the second half.
That would be, I mean, if that works, that would be a tactical masterclass. Anyway, Eze standing over this free kick. Looking to whip it in. Whip it high towards the back stick. It's gone towards Kouyaté, who heads it towards goal. It's high up and looping, and Mendy has got 2 hands on it. Both feet planted on the goal line and quickly getting it away from goal. Still got it in his hands, though. He thought about trying to launch a counter-attack, but his teammates weren't quite hustling quick enough. In the end, he rolls it out to James.
Well, one thing Chelsea did with that free kick is they had set such a high line, obviously learning from the previous errors. Palace do look a real threat when they do have set pieces, and that was an excellently whipped free kick, and definitely we've seen it. You know, Liverpool and Manchester City thrive from set pieces, but obviously Chelsea deciding to eliminate that by go wide, but just another warning sign to Chelsea about the giveaway fouls.
Loftus-Cheek was marauding forward there, but a free kick has been given in Crystal Palace's favour, as Bilaqueta was a little bit late to the scene on that one. It's Gay who's gone down. Yeah, he got his toe to it first and then proceeded to be body checked by Azpilicueta, which Anthony Taylor was quickly on top of. Substitution is now taking place, so it's Jordan Ayew who's coming on for Palace. Who is he making way for? Well, it's going to be Mateta coming off. So he's had a bit of a difficult game, Mateta. That's Jordan Ayew coming on. Could make a difference, perhaps. What do you rank of the substitution?
I think Mateta's suffered from Wembley legs. It's a bit much for him today. He hasn't really been able to influence the game, and I'm sure Ayew coming on has given instructions to sort of get slightly more involved. I think Mateta was pushing too far forwards and was becoming, particularly when the likes of Eze and Zaha had got the ball, he just wasn't close enough. And as a centre forward, you always want to be close enough from your attacking players so you can influence the game. And I think he was just pushing a bit too far forward.
Well, first roll of the tactical dice by Patrick Vieira. Both managers having used one substitute already. They've got another 3 in regulation time. And of course, if it does stay 0-0, which there is the potential that it stays 0-0 at present, we will go to extra time and potentially penalties. A perfect way to round off your Easter weekend. Long ball forward. Cut out by Anderson. Anderson looking to try and get the ball forward for Crystal Palace. Was looking for Jordan Ayew, but it's cut out. And it's going to be a throw just by the touchline. Well, the technical area, should I say, as Patrick Vieira just still in discussions with his captain, MacArthur. As we hit 55.5 minutes, first 10 minutes of this half of, I must say, they've flown by. It's been a very aggressive start from both sides. Just need to create a major chance, really. We have had one for Chelsea, but there's a bit of a rugby challenge on Zaha goes by. Probably a little exaggerated. Rudiger basically out-muscled Zaha. Long ball sent forward. Mitchell's going to let that one go out and take the throw. His first touch to pick up the throw-in. Second touch, not particularly great either. There we go. He's got it. So, who's going to blink first? Who is going to get the first major opportunity to break the deadlock here?
I think a young Mitchell's done himself a lot of favours today. He's looked like very lively in that position. and very much has been a player who looks like when he has the ball, looks very comfortable, and certainly here today, there's been one of the Crystal Palace players which is starting to stand out as this game goes on.
Well, the left-back position is very much not quite as nailed down in the England setup, let's put it that way. Certainly haven't found the spiritual successor to Ashley Cole. I know Luke Shaw and a few others have tried their hand at it. Luke Shaw certainly did very well at the Euros, we've got to say, but competition for the left-back position, I think, would be healthy for Shaw. And Mitchell definitely putting himself in that picture. Jorginho exchanging passes with Rudiger. Now Christensen's going to bring it into the Crystal Palace half. Looking for options. Chooses to go to his right, where James is marauding forward. Loftus-Cheek was making good run, but he goes to Azpilicueta on the touchline. Forced back, though. Again, Crystal Palace hunting them down in packs, forcing Chelsea backwards. James just on the edge of the centre circle, finds Rudiger. Back to James once more, being harried by MacArthur. Has to go back into his own half of Christensen. Back to Rudiger once more. Here's Mason Mount on the far side now. Exchanging passes with Marcus Alonso. Loftus-Cheek is dropped deep this time. Again, Chelsea being forced backwards by Palace's excellent shape and hassling every opportunity at Chelsea. Not giving them too much chance to create any passes or opportunities. Alonso again forced to go across. James looking for some kind of space. Forced to go wide this side to Jorginho on this near side. Back to James in the middle. Crystal Palace just holding firm. Chelsea not really sure where to find the space. And straight in there with a big challenge there. It was Schlupp, got a big foot in. He stayed on the ground though. Referee's not stopped play. He has now. There's Schlupp. It was a big challenge. He's certainly come off slightly worse. Let's have a look at the replay here. What do you make of this challenge?
Bit of a 50-50. Look at James here. Just looks to play the ball away. And to be fair, Schlupp's the one that's committed the foul. He's come in late and come off worse for it. It can happen sometimes. But I think 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Move on.
Well, it's going to be a drop ball that's going to be not contested by the looks of things. Because Chelsea did have the ball. And as you say, it really would have been a free kick in Chelsea's favour should the referee have deemed it an infringement. As we get back underway, Christensen in the centre circle. Rudiger again. Jorginho exchanging passes with Rudiger. Being forced all the way back by Jordan Ayew. Looking for Havertz just inside the Crystal Palace half. Immediately harried by 3 Crystal Palace shirts. They look to bring the ball forward. Schlupp looking forward. Wilfried Zaha getting to the byline. He's challenging Christensen. Quick feet. He can't quite get past him. He's managed to pick it up a second time. Getting to the byline. Looking to whip a cross in. It's going to come back to Eze. It's been headed away. Azpilicueta took emergency action and sent it behind the goal. And Crystal Palace with their first corner in front of their own fans. The noise level has gone up a little bit.
Well, it's good hustling there by Zaha. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And that's exactly what's worked. He's got to the byline. He's put it across in. And he's caused problems. And he's won his team a set piece. Good football from Zaha, who's starting to grow into the game, I feel.
As he stands over this free kick on this near side. There's a lot of big Crystal Palace players up for this one. Eze puts his arm up, looks to deliver it, whips it in towards the penalty area. The head has gone up and it's just gone wide. Who was it? It was very close. I think it was Kouyaté with the header. Literally in the middle of the 6-yard box, on the edge of it. Gets up highest. I think it's come off his shoulder in the end. Just can't quite get it on target.
Well, you've got to credit here the work done by Mason Mount. Very casually stands his ground, and that's just enough to put Kouyaté off and to stop him being able to head that onto target. That's very clever defending, and you never taught that. That's just something you learn. It's a sixth sense of being able to put the opposition off. But really, despite the good bit of defending, Kouyaté should have buried that. That was a golden chance.
Well, Chelsea, in their attempt to counter-attack, have given away a free kick after Anderson has been fouled. He's over-exaggerated the contact slightly, but it was a foul nonetheless. He's certainly taking his time to get to his feet, which he's entitled to do. And it will be a free kick in Palace's favour. The medics have just been sent back to the dugout. They're not required. You're seeing the Palace fans once again upping the noise level once more. They've certainly made an atmosphere of it, even if the quality of football on the pitch hasn't been particularly mouth-watering. Palace doing their best to make sure that the atmosphere on the ground is at least a little bit electrifying.
Well, they are acting as Crystal Palace's 12th man, and it's the tactics Patrick Vieira has employed. It's a team that's going to sit deep, play on the counter-attack and look to score from set pieces. Well, like England are probably going to have to do if they're going to get places in the World Cup. But in all fairness, that support, I'm sure, will be absolutely vital for them because they really are getting right behind their team.
And Zaha using his body well, nearly getting a ball through there, but Chelsea win the ball back, and now Chelsea looking to counter. Here's Marcus Alonso just inside his own half, forced to go backwards. Jordan Ayew closing down. Jorginho now bringing it into the centre circle. Long ball over the top, looking for Mason Mount. He can't quite get beyond his man, though, and it's gone back to the goalkeeper, Jack Butland, who sends it long. It's fallen to Rudiger, though. Wilfried Zaha harrying him all the way, though. And, well, their legs tangled. Referee's not giving anything. Chelsea win the ball back. Loftus-Cheek on the centre spot. James now. Just on the halfway line. Jorginho bringing the ball forward. Looking for a cutting pass. Looking for Havertz. Found a bit of space on the edge of the box. Gets it wide to Azpilicueta. Checks back onto his left. Whips the ball in. Headed away by Anderson. Great header away and then hoofed further forward. Smack to halfway line. Christensen looking to get it forward again once more. Rudiger now. Chelsea just looking to crank up the pressure that little bit more. And it's a bit of a wayward pass, although Azpilicueta mopped it up. Havertz looking to try and get past his man on this near side. James once again. Chelsea forced backwards once more. Now Christensen. Deep into Crystal Palace's half. Looking wide for Alonso. Back to Jorginho again as Alonso makes a darting run forward. He's not been used, though. Goes wide, Mason Mount. Looking to try and get past his man, Ward. Once again, forced backwards. Rudiger, Jorginho. Touch is getting a little heavy as Crystal Palace, well, they had bodies everywhere and Chelsea just couldn't find the cutting pass and the ball is rolled out for a goal kick.
Very much is the game for Chelsea. They have to find the cutting pass to beat this Crystal Palace backline. When you see the likes of Havertz and company moving the ball around, they just can't see that killer ball through. And Timo Werner here is cutting a very frustrated figure at the moment in the centre of that pitch. But to be fair to them, you can only turn around and say it's good work by Crystal Palace because they're stopping any balls through the channel. Nothing's getting through. They're either going to hold their hands up and say, do you know what, that was a moment of magic. We'll absolutely accept that we've conceded here. Or they're going to turn around and celebrate the fact that they've been able to defend so stoutly and so strongly for so long.
Indeed, Crystal Palace currently holding firm against Chelsea. As Jorginho looking to bring the ball forward now, looking for Timo Werner, cut out by Anderson again once more. He's been a giant in that defence, although Mitchell has given the ball away. Chelsea now with an opportunity inside the box. Havertz, clever feet, tries to put it across the face of goal. It's fallen to Ruben Loftus-Cheek! He's hit it! And it's rifled into the net. The breakthrough has finally happened. They've been knocking on the door, and finally they've smashed it open with an absolute pile driver of a right footer from Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Well, it's a mistake that's happened in the Crystal Palace final third. It's the first time really today that anyone in the Crystal Palace shirt hasn't got it wrong. And it's Mitchell here that's lost possession. It's good hustling from Chelsea. When the pass comes back in, though, there's still a lot to do from this situation. And from here, you've got to turn your hands up and say that is just a moment of magic. We've talked about it. It would take this. The technique here from Loftus-Cheek to get his feet set for this is just extraordinary. But when this does fly off the back of his foot, there's the deflected effort. He takes the left foot across, able to balance his foot. Oh, it takes a slight deflection also, but does indeed take it past Butland. I suspect, though, it was probably still goal bound. It looks like it. No, it is. It looks like it's come off Anderson, which is the killer moment. It's probably justified from a footballing standpoint that Chelsea do take the lead. But my heavens, what a cracking goal that's been by Loftus-Cheek.
Well, the first half substitute has certainly made his mark. We did say what a opportunity he's got in front of Gareth Southgate and in front of all the cameras on such a big occasion to perhaps staple his name to a trip to Qatar with a good performance, perhaps. And he's certainly picked up the baton and taken his chance. May have taken a slight deflection on the way through, but that was travelling at quite a few knots. A bit like a traction engine, really. But either way, we've got our first goal of this semi-final, 65 minutes in. Will this light up the semi-final now? Chelsea looking for more as they try to get the ball forward. Immediately cut out, though, by Guy. Mitchell looking to shrug off that mistake where he gave the ball away. It's a shame for Mitchell because he's been having a really good game, and as a local lad, that will hurt. But he's still young. He'll learn from it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and there's always the thing, you learn from more mistakes than what you get right when you play football. And I think Mitchell, there's still time to recover in this contest, but let's be honest, it was liquid football that Loftus-Cheek's strike that had done the business with. And sometimes you've got to hold your hands up to that.
There's a long ball over the top, nearly broke through to Werner, but Jack Butland was quick to it. As Crystal Palace just need to settle a little bit. They've still got a good 23 minutes or so to get themselves back into this. Of course, for Chelsea, this is their last opportunity to get any silverware this season. Obviously, lost in the League Cup, got agonisingly knocked out in the Champions League. They're not really in the title race either. So Chelsea just maybe wanting this a little bit more, perhaps. But for the game plan for Crystal Palace, it all changes. You can't just sit back and defend now. You've got to find a goal.
Yeah, and that's going to leave for spaces moving forward for Crystal Palace. They've got to be prepared that Chelsea are now going to have chances and go forward. I guess Chelsea must be thinking themselves a repeat of the Carabao Cup final and an opportunity to avenge that. And maybe that's driving them forward a bit more.
Oh, here is Timo Werner. He's got to the byline, looks to whip across in. It's fallen to Loftus-Cheek again, just inside the box. He's forced backwards to Azpilicueta. It's going to fall to Jorginho. Dinks it wide to the opposite byline where Mason Mount is waiting. He's got two players that he's up against. He can't quite find a gap to get a cross in. Being forced back by Jordan Ayew. Rudiger now deep in the Crystal Palace half, keeping the play alive. Jorginho whipping it across, looking for Azpilicueta. First touch a little heavy and Mitchell straight on it. And then Azpilicueta trips Mitchell, attempting to get back into the play. So it's a free kick to Crystal Palace. Well, there's a lot to digest there for Gareth Southgate as we look at him. Obviously, the mistake was by Mitchell. The goal was by Loftus-Cheek. Lots of English interest in that particular moment. But he's certainly on the outskirts of being in the England midfield. But he definitely provides something a bit different from the midfield option. He's a physical individual, is Loftus-Cheek. It's certainly difficult to barge off the ball. Could be a very different option that Southgate could deploy at Qatar should he decide to take him.
Well, he showed the difference 4 years ago in England in the games. I remember him coming on and making a difference, particularly likes the sort of Tunisia, that sort of physicality that he brings to the game. And not to be underestimated, football is still a physical game, and the ability to run and to be strong and good upper body strength, never underestimate it. It makes a real difference in the game.
Yeah, I remember watching him for the under-21s against Germany when they played in Colchester, and he looked like a man amongst boys. He was a giant in that midfield and just shrugged people off like they weren't there. As we're seeing Christian Benteke, another striker for Palace. Probably a change of shape going for broke here. So Christian Benteke getting ready. Who he will come on for. Be an interesting choice. Currently lining up as a 4-3-3. We will see what Patrick Vieira has got in mind as we hit the 70-minute mark.
Of course, Loftus-Cheek, as we talked about today, it was during the season before the World Cup that he got himself that call-up playing for Crystal Palace while he was on loan. And let's not forget that last season he was playing for Fulham, so he got regular football, albeit at the wrong end of the table.
Indeed, a goal against his former club that gave him a first-team opportunity. He didn't hesitate to celebrate, though, did he? Anthony Taylor's just blown up for a foul by Loftus-Cheek. He did go in quite heavy. He would argue that he got the ball, but it might have been a bit too much on that one to let it slide. As I said, Loftus-Cheek is a big individual. I don't think there's a soft version of him when it comes in for challenges. I think it's Loftus-Cheek is, well, it's like trying to dispossess a tank. You just wouldn't be able to do it. Anyway, we've got a free kick now for Guy to take just inside his own half. Looking to switch the play to the opposite side. Looking for Jordan Ayew. Headed away. Kouyate's got it forward to Jordan Ayew, and it's a free kick in Palace's favour. Just inside the Chelsea half. On the far side. As it looks like tactical changes are happening as Patrick Vieira's assistant has 2 substitutes at the ready. And it looks like the other substitution will be Elise coming on, the number 7. He's certainly was instrumental in the Everton game in the previous round for Crystal Palace. He certainly ran Everton ragged. So he's going to get a chance as well. And they're going to make the substitution now. So Christian Benteke and Elise are going to be coming on. And it's going to be Schlupp coming off. So this is definitely going to be a change in shape. And James MacArthur, the captain, has also been pulled off. So Guy takes on the armband. Well, this is the gamble that Vieira's taking. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Well, why not? You've got 18 minutes to the final to go. Go get some fresh legs in here and go see what you can grace. I think Benteke will give them another dynamic. Watch for them try to put more high chances into the box.
Here is Elise straight onto the ball, getting off Eze, looking to get the ball in behind towards Zaha. Hoofed away by James. It's gone out for a throw, just in line with the edge of the area. It's actually Ward who's taken on the armband. Guy wore it in the previous round against Everton. And here he is, Guy. Sends it back to his goalkeeper, Butland. Anderson just sends it back to Butland. Guy once more. Mitchell. Clever feet, sends Azpilicueta the wrong way. Jordan Ayew dropping deep to try and receive the ball. Jack Butland now inside his own 6-yard box. Is Chelsea pressing quite high up? Long ball forward. Looking for Benteke to nod on to Zaha. Lovely touch. Now Jordan Ayew heading down this left-hand side. He's got Mitchell on the overlap. Checks back onto his right foot. Looking for Wilfred Zaha inside. He's got there ahead of the goalkeeper, but he's forced wide. Tries to whip in across. It's fallen to Eze on the edge of the box. Looking for a release just inside the box. By the byline. Yellow shirt's in the way. It's hacked away by Christensen. It's fallen as far as Ward on this far side. Elise once more. Injecting a bit of energy into the side. Kouyaté exchanging passes with Ward. Elise forced to go back. To game once more. Eze looking to bring the ball forward. Chelsea's turn to sit back and soak up the pressure. Jordan Ayew now on this near side. Dropping very deep for a striker. Going up against Jorginho, trying to shrug him off. Jorginho stands firm. Ayew still trying to get past him on this near side. He's got options. Twisting and turning. Jorginho will not be fussed by any of that. Lays it off to Zaha, trying to get it forward to Benteke. Benteke's first and second touch just a little heavy, and now James has picked up the pieces, sends the ball up the field. Loftus-Cheek has found a bit of space, taking the ball forward. Loftus-Cheek marauding forward. He's still going, Loftus-Cheek. Finds Havertz. Havertz inside the Crystal Palace box. Oh, he just couldn't quite get his feet set. Can he find any help? He's forced all the way back as Palace just about hold on. Havertz bringing it to this near side touchline, and he's dispossessed by Guehi. And it's gone out for a throw in Palace's favour as Palace survived the counter-attack. It's a loose ball, though. Rudiger getting a toe in. Jordan Ayew being challenged as well. Chelsea looking to up the pressure here. They're looking for that second. Here's Werner. Now Mason Mount. Werner once more on the opposite side. Byline. Oh, it's a lovely touch. Timo Werner! It's Mason Mount in the end who gets the final touch. And it's a second goal for Chelsea. 75 minutes gone and Chelsea have taken command of this semi-final. Chelsea just ups and ups the pressure, and eventually a second goal came.
Well, it all comes from the fact that as Crystal Palace have committed themselves forward, and rightly so, Chelsea have been able to find space on the counter-attack. Look at this here from Werner in this situation. When Mount has this in this situation, it's about even numbers. But look at the quality of the pass through. The first touch by Mason Mount allows him to open himself up. And then when his body is opened up, this is the key opportunity. Just one touch away. Suddenly, 3 defenders are taken out of the contest. One-on-one with Butland. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's finding that corner. And he's probably found Chelsea a place in the FA Cup final.
Well, Mason Mount's definitely one of those special talents. Another man who's come through the academy. Lots of comparisons to Frank Lampard. Finding himself in the pocket there A lovely first touch, as you say, which found in that little bit of space and has put Chelsea in command of the semi-final. Palace look on, agonising. It was all going so well, and now suddenly they find themselves 2 goals down. And Mason Mount's last contribution in the match, as he's just been subbed. Well, couldn't have made your last contribution much better. There's a lot of changes.
Jorginho's off too.
Jorginho is off as well. Romelu Lukaku is on. And Ziyech is on. So, I imagine it's a straight swap there. Ziyech for Mount. And I would imagine that Havertz has been swapped out for Lukaku. N'Golo Kante is also on. Didn't catch who N'Golo Kante swapped with. It's probably Jorginho. And now what do you do as a Palace manager? What does Patrick Vieira think here? What can you do at 2-0 down with 13 minutes to go?
You've got to capture the spirits of great cup finals gone past, and hopefully you'll get a bit of luck.
Well, Palace immediately pushing forward, looking for an immediate response. But it's going to be difficult to come back from here. If they do come back from here, it'll be one of the greatest semi-final comebacks in recent history. Corner whipped in towards Ayew. It's nodded on, and Anderson with an open header, 3-4 yards from goal, has nodded it over the bar at the back stick.
Well, I'm sorry, but whatever level of the game you're playing, after this should be in the back of the net. I think one of the things here with Anderson, he seems to snatch at this chance. He knows it's coming right to him, doesn't get enough height on it, doesn't get himself down to head the ball down and really create an opportunity. And you can see his frustration. He knows he should have buried it.
Well, will that be the defining moment? If that goal goes in, all things change. But it didn't. And now the complexion of this game is completely different. Long ball sent forward, looking for Lukaku. Nodded on, looking for Ziyech. Ziyech quickly harrying. Lukaku also pressing highly. Guy has to go all the way back to Butland. Under pressure from Lukaku. Sends it long. It's going to come straight to Rudiger, who nods it forward. Looking for Werner. Kouyaté stepped on the ball. That's not going to help his cause there. Forced to go back to Ward. Here's Anderson. How will he be feeling after that mess? He's going to look back on this match and say that was the moment. You'll see that header in his nightmares, I dare say.
And it's such an important moment in the game. If that goes in, it's 2-1 straight away, and Crystal Palace will feel they've got a real chance. But in this final 10 minutes, unless Crystal Palace can score quickly, I really think Chelsea could just see this game out quite comfortably.
Well, with the substitutions that have been made by Thomas Tuchel, you bring on the likes of Kante, you bring on Lukaku, who can hold up the ball well. Ziyech can certainly run and apply that press, not allowing Crystal Palace any time to create anything. It's definitely the move to make, I think. And in terms of game management, Thomas Tuchel has proven that he's very good at it. As Chelsea just trying to keep hold of the ball here. Here's Alonso on the touchline on the far side, finding Kante. Trying to find Lukaku. It's almost cut out. It's going to come all the way through to Mitchell. Goes back to Butland. Butland looking to send it long. Looking for Benteke. Can't quite get to it. It's fallen to Kante. Now here's James. Chelsea just looking to do a bit of game management at this point, although they might want a third. Here's Ziyech. Bringing it down this near side touchline. He's got Azpilicueta ahead of him. Can't quite find him. Mitchell didn't quite get a toe on it, though. Werner knocks it back to Ziyech. Ziyech from distance. Good save from Jack Butland. Low to his right. Got both hands on it. Held it. Immediately rolls the ball out to his now standing captain, Ward. Chelsea don't look like they're sitting back and settling for 2. They might go for 3 here.
Well, it's all the space that Crystal Palace are leaving as they push forward. They're just very tempted to. And it's all the changes that you would expect in Lukaku and Ziyech want to go and make a difference. But I think the second goal really has knocked the stuffing out of Crystal Palace. Maybe even the miss, perhaps, has done. But there's still plenty of time left.
And here's Jordan Ayew on this near side byline. He's got a bit of support in the box for him. He tried to shoot. It's come straight off Reece James, and it's been given as a goal kick as it rebounded off James and then back off Ayew. As he looks to the skies.
Well, Jordan Ayew has got to play this first time across goal. There's no need for that skill. There's no need for that step over. First time across the 6-yard box, create problems from there. That's poor decision making.
Yes, and Christensen has left the field to be replaced by Thiago Silva. So Palace's task of scoring another goal has just got that little bit more difficult. It's a real luxury, as we said, with the multiple substitutions, with that kind of quality that you had on the bench, to be able to bring Thiago Silva off the bench. It's just no disrespect to the Palace substitutes bench, but it's two different worlds there to be able to bring that kind of quality off the bench.
And the argument can always be made with you having so many substitutions. It's definitely going to favour the bigger sides with the bigger budgets, because they'll be able to bring on more players and change the game. I mean, the question's been said here. When England and Italy played in the final of the Euros, had there been only 3 substitutions, could Italy have changed the game as much as they did with 5?
Certainly a question that's been posed by many managers, coaches, and many teams this season, obviously about fixture congestion and all that. But the FA Cup having 4 substitutions at the minute, and we would have potentially had a 5th, should we be going to extra time? When with the time running out, I somewhat have my doubts that we'll make it that far, but Azpilicueta just holding the ball nicely there under the challenge of Jordan Ayew, who then proceeded to play leapfrog in an attempt to get the ball back. Loftus-Cheek just controlling the ball in the centre circle. Here is Thiago Silva. Also has a very decorated career himself, you've got to say. As Loftus-Cheek again receiving the ball just inside his own half. Chelsea just looking to keep hold of the ball now, I feel. 7 minutes to go. They don't need to risk anything. Although they've fired a ball forward looking for Lukaku, but that's just got a bit too much on it. Jack Butland swallows that up. Immediately rolls it out to Mitchell on this near side. Quick 1-2 with Kouyaté. Referee has blown his whistle for something. Rudiger has got an issue at the minute. Now, here's the added complication here. Chelsea have just made all 4 of their substitutions, and now Rudiger has gone down injured. So potentially, could we be seeing Chelsea down to 10 men?
If we do, then Crystal Palace may be thanking the football gods just a little bit. They're not there. Absolutely brilliant. We're just watching a replay of a fantastic strike by Loftus-Cheek and the second goal taken by Mount. The thing is, in Crystal Palace, when it's come to the key moments in the game, key bits of quality have been there from Chelsea that have been lacking. Anderson's header goes in for Crystal Palace, changes the game for them. But that's the difference between top quality sides. And let's not forget, albeit they aren't for much longer, Chelsea are still European champions.
Yes, and Crystal Palace have made a substitution. Club captain Milivojevic has made his way onto the pitch and takes the armband with it as Crystal Palace gets us back underway. Here's Mitchell on this near side. Goes back to Milivojevic, who gets his first touch of the semi-final. Here's Anderson. They just tried to bring the ball forward with Gay. Milivojevic once more in the centre circle, looking to ping the ball far wide. Here is Olise. Gets past Alonso, thinks about a cross, stuck on the byline. He's got a chance for Milivojevic on the edge of the box, who was trying to do something, but has ended up dinking the ball out of play by the corner flag. A little miscommunication there between Ward and Milivojevic. There was a lot of hope going into this game for Palace, thinking perhaps they could have another FA Cup final appearance and maybe go one step further, but it's just not quite happened for them in this second half.
No, and the key moments have been won by Chelsea. I think Crystal Palace, like I said, needed a bit of luck. They looked comfortable until that press by Mitchell, in which he lost the ball. I think since then, Chelsea have looked very much more assured on the ball. And at the key moments when Palace have needed to make the decisions, you know, those key final third decisions, they've just not been there really today.
Yes, as Eze looking to bring the ball forward for Palace. bundled over. Referee says nothing doing. And now here's a chance. Timo Werner breaking away for Chelsea on the far side. He's got Anderson in front of him. He's got Lukaku for support and didn't release the ball. And much to Lukaku's annoyance, didn't receive the ball. And now Crystal Palace looking to quickly break as time is ticking out. We've got 86 and a half minutes on the clock. Here's Kante looking to bring the ball forward now for Chelsea. Azpilicueta now. Chelsea just slowing it down a bit. Loftus-Cheek, Kante going back to Thiago Silva. James just keeping it in play. Trevor?
Oh, very good game I think Reece James has had. He showed us that he can play part of a back three, and Lukaku's just found his way through.
Lukaku's onside, and it's played across the box. Azpilicueta couldn't quite get to it first, and it's fallen all the way to Elise. You were saying, Trevor?
Yeah, I was saying Reece James has showed us his ability to play as one of a back three, the sort of the Carl Walker position that has been known as, and that's been able to offer Chelsea a lot of play. The thing is for Chelsea is they started to play the ball more down the right-hand side. So they stopped Rudiger having to lay passes from left, and that has made a huge difference really in the contest in terms of the overall match.
A long ball sent forward by Milivojevic, almost finding Ayew, but Mendy read it and came out and caught it nicely. Rudiger now on the ball, getting it to Kante, and now Marcos Alonso in a bit of space as Palace were pushing high up. Alonso now into the Palace half, although then goes back to Rudiger to keep possession. Chelsea just looking to play the clock out now. It's they don't have to take any risks. They're 2-0 in front. I think the major difference, obviously, is that since Palace had to chase the game, it's certainly opened up more options for Chelsea. And I think Crystal Palace would have quite happily sat at 0-0 and gone to extra time. But that first goal that Chelsea scored really put a spanner in that potential plan.
It's stopped the fact that Crystal Palace, they had to push forwards, and that's where Mason Mount goal has come from. And Timo Werner, he's a player that has worked tirelessly today. He's got the Emirates Player of the Match. I'm not sure necessarily we get my votes.
Who is going to get your vote, Trevor? Because we are into the dying moments of the match. I think it's fair to say it's probably a good time to potentially think of a player of the game. Have you got one in mind? Hang on, Timo Werner, who has put the ball across. He did have a moment there as Kouyaté sends the ball up the field, and Elise once more trying to get the ball forward. It's Eze, in fact. Chelsea are looking for a third here, which gives Trevor plenty of time to think of who he's going to make player of the match, although Chelsea looking again to slow things down. So, any thoughts, Trevor, on player of the game?
Yeah, my vote goes to Reece James for Chelsea today. I think he's such a composed sort of job in the sort of the back three, and when it's been Chelsea have changed their focus in the second half completely to play more down the right, he's been the key man, and he started the move which eventually resulted in the first goal. He really has grown in stature and shown us that he can move forward, he can come back, he can play centre half. He's been excellent today, in my opinion.
So there we go. That's your man of the match from the commentary hub man of the match. Different to the TV man of the match, which has been given to Mason Mount. As Lukaku using his strength, trying to get in there. Timo Werner marauding forward even more. Gets it to Lukaku. It's off the post. It's going to fall kindly to Ziyech. Oh, what a save by the goalkeeper, Butland. Well, that looks certain to be a third goal there. But somehow Lukaku hasn't scored and Ziyech didn't score the follow-up.
Well, lovely work here by Lukaku. Eventually gets a bit of luck, the fact that the sort of Mark Guehi's challenge wasn't dealt with. Brilliant turn of pace, you have to say, by Timo Werner. Really, Lukaku should have been burying that. And then this is what cup football's all about. Ziyech goes low and then is blocked away. Have you got a bit more about you? Would you raise the ball a couple of yards off the ground? It goes into the back of the net. There's always going to be that chance.
Well, it was Mitchell in the end who got the block. There was about 3 or 4 bodies on the line there. Alonso's going to whip in the corner from this near side. Werner's at the back post. Couldn't quite control it, though. And it's hacked all the way up the field to Thiago Silva. Here's Kante. I think an honourable mention for man of the match candidates as well would have been Loftus-Cheek. He certainly changed the game when he came on and obviously got that goal. Here's Rudiger looking to bring the ball forward, having a shot. Blocked up and away, but that's gone out for another corner.
Again,
yes.
it's tired legs now from Crystal Palace standpoint, and Chelsea know that they've got a rematch with Liverpool at Wembley again. And at the moment, Chelsea showing the fact that that stronger bench has certainly come into order now.
Well, it was Guy who got the block in this time, which sent it way over the bar. Danger's not over yet, though, as there's another corner. Ziyech is going to whip this one in. It's whipped in towards the penalty area, headed away by Benteke, of all people. Kante now gets it wide. Is a chance now. Ziyech, can he get the ball across? Looking for Lukaku again, but it just flashes across and goes out for a throw on the opposite side.
Oh. As a centre forward, you take crosses like that all day. Lovely work by Ziyech, first time. And just the fact that Chelsea have one player in a 6-yard box perhaps shows you perhaps where a few of their problems have arisen to this season.
Well, a good old 90s, early 2000s centre-back would have been flinging himself at that. I know Les Ferdinand would have eaten that kind of cross for breakfast. Here is Kante. James, the man of the match from the TC Hub. All the way back to Mendy, who hasn't had too much to do. Mendy, he's had a couple of saves to make, but nothing too major.
Yeah, but that key save that he made from Kouyaté, that was a real turning point in the game. That goes in, and it's a different first half.
Lukaku did lay it back to Timo Werner, but he's forgotten he's playing football for a brief moment and tried to do a rugby conversion. That has gone probably into the second tier at Wembley, which is hard going. As it's the final seconds ticking away, it's Chelsea looking to make yet another FA Cup final. You would argue they've probably deserved it on the balance of play. And the final whistle goes. Chelsea keep their season alive. A pursuit of silverware is still on for Chelsea as they advance after breaking down a stubborn Crystal Palace side who really, really tested them. But in the end, the world-class quality that Chelsea have in their depth, very deep squad, really showed through in the end. Mason Mount and Loftus-Cheek, the two goal scorers, as Chelsea go through to face Liverpool once again in the domestic cup final. And it's the FA Cup final, the 150th one, will be a classic affair once again between two long-standing rivals. Crystal Palace can hold their heads high. They certainly really tested Chelsea. It took a long time for Chelsea to eventually break them down, but in the end, the world champions, the technically still champions of Europe, do go through. It's finished here at Wembley at the FA Cup semi-final. Chelsea 2, Crystal Palace 0. It's been a pleasure to cover this match as lead commentator, and thank you very much, Trevor, for being my co-commentator today. It's been a fantastic thing to cover. So, back to JB in the studio for the winding up of the coverage here today. And as I say,
yes,
we finished here at Wembley. Chelsea 2, Crystal Palace 0.
Yes, guys, well done. And Chris, Trev, just stay with me. We're going to just round it off really with your thoughts of the game. I mean, first of all, Chris, what a great return to form as a lead commentator. I knew you had it in you, so a big congratulations to you, actually, because you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
And I just listened. I didn't turn on Matterface. I turned on you. I kept with you all game long, and I was absolutely, I was mesmerised by the commentary. Well done.
Well, I think I've done reasonably well to still have a voice by the end of it. Given that I had no voice at all
yes.
Wednesday because of COVID, I literally couldn't speak to just about manage to get through 90 minutes of some cracking football with the help of Trevor, I've got to say. He came in at the right moments and just rested my voice enough to get me through that. So, cracking stuff.
Well, I've got to give you, I mean, we've seen a terrific game of football. Trevor, you've got to feel a bit sorry for Crystal Palace in a way. I think that chance in the first half where Mendy made the save could really have been the turning point of the match, the whole game, really, because if that goes in, they take a 1-goal lead, and then Thomas Tuchel's got a lot of sorting out to do. Do you think that was the turning point of the whole match, that one save from Edouard Mendy?
I don't actually. I think that was the start of Crystal Palace's game plan starting to come to fruition. The turning point was Mitchell being pressed to lose possession, and then the deflection allowing Loftus-Cheek to strike. one thing to notice in the second half in particular, Chelsea moved the ball at pace more, moved it through the channels better, and were able to go and create more chances. And that's what did for Crystal Palace in the end. They very much were playing the occasion, and they needed a lot to go their way today. But the key moment in the game was that moment in the 65th minute. The first goal, you think would be so important. I always get the sense that when you have a shot like that, a left-footed effort from outside of the box, it's not a given that it should always go in. If you're looking for a real turning point, JB, it's Anderson's miss for Crystal Palace. That goes in 2-1, and it's game on. The fact that it doesn't, I really feel that was the stuffing completely knocked out of Crystal Palace.
I mean, we've got a good. I mean, we've had so many. I mean, lads. We've got Liverpool, Chelsea. We've got two heavyweights in the final. I think we probably would have expected that come the third round, when the third round started with the guys, when the big teams come in. But let's just talk quickly about the FA Cup as a whole now. With one game to go of the competition, I mean, we've had so many highlights on the TCR. We've had Forest doing terrifically well. You guys covering that magnificent victory for Middlesbrough over Tottenham. That was a remarkable game. There's been so many highlights. I mean, Chris, what's been your main FA Cup highlight of the season?
I think it's all the underdogs that we've covered that punched well above their weight. I mean, both Forest and Middlesbrough sit quite firmly.
And Boreham Wood, let's not forget.
And Boreham Wood, of course. There were lots of underdog stories in this FA Cup, which I think reminds people as to why this cup competition is the greatest domestic cup competition in the world, because it's just anything can happen. Any team can beat anyone. It doesn't matter where you're positioned league-wise. Anything can happen. And to me, it's the small guys got their day in the sun in this competition. Yes, we've got the two heavyweights, Liverpool and Chelsea, in the final, but they really had to work to get there. There was no easy. Nobody got an easy draw to get to this point. Every single one was a hard encounter, and it was fantastic. The competition as a whole this year has been terrific. The semi-final between Liverpool and Manchester City yesterday was a different level of football, which was just, it was a fantastic occurrence. But the underdogs have certainly had their day in this competition, and we've got one more party piece to enjoy, which is Liverpool-Chelsea, which always ends up in a classic.
Absolutely. What's your abiding memory of the cup story this year, Trevor? I mean, you've had some great games. You've had the Middlesbrough game where you completely lost it when Josh Coburn scored. It was a terrific moment for every TCB listener. But and of course, you were hosting for me when Nottingham Forest knocked out Arsenal. I'll tell you what, that was a nightmare for me trying to cover Arsenal with all those white numbers on the back of their white shirts. But what's been your abiding memory of the FA Cup this season?
I would have said that in the earlier rounds, not playing your strongest side can come back to bite you. And we saw some brilliant performances. I think Forest had a very special season, particularly at the City grounds. And Middlesbrough had a very, very, very special run in the Cup. It's a shame that they ended down at the 5th and the 6th round, respectively, but they really lit up the competition. I think as the tournament went on, you started to see some of the bigger teams take it more seriously, which is a shame for the Cup, but they took it more seriously. And it all resulted in yesterday's game that I thought, from a quality standpoint, is one of the best games the FA Cup's produced. Liverpool's first half performance is one of the best that you'll see. I do think it's fitting for the 150th FA Cup final that it's a game between two sides that represent football's primary colours. We've got red versus blue. And we've also got two sides that perhaps played the greatest 0-0 that we've seen in a long time.
Yes,
in finals.
And I remember, and I should know, I commentated on the whole thing for this TCR, but it was one of the most, I've got to be honest with you, lads. Well, let's hope so. But on the May the 15th, and I have to say, lads, I sat in this very spot commentating here at Wembley and with Paul James, and it was, I tell you what, it was one of the best 0-0s I have ever done in 6 or 7 years of doing YouTube commentary. That was one of the very best 0-0s I've ever done. But I mean, what are you? I mean, there's still a lot of football to be played until the final, of course. I mean, May the 15th, so we're just over a month away from the on the big day, Saturday, May the 15th, May the 14th, I should say, is the date, and make a date in your diary, because we'll have it covered really live on the TC Hub, commentary team and presenting teams to be announced nearer the time, of course. But I mean, what a final now it promises to be. And let's look at the rest of the season as a whole. We've got, I mean, English interest, of course, in, let's not talk about Burnley, because, their fate could be sealed. Despite a good point at West Ham. We've talked a lot about Sean Dyche, me and you, Chris, over a lot of times, during the last week. But let's have a look at the top end of the Premier League, Championship, and what happened. I mean, in Europe, especially, we could have a Man City Liverpool final, couldn't we, in the Champions League? I mean, and possibly Rangers against West Ham in the Europa final. I mean, if we got that scenario, should all four teams get through?
You got Liverpool's
terrific for British football.
Still on. You still got Liverpool's quadruple bid, which is still on.
Oh yes, amazing.
If Liverpool were to do that, I mean, just take a moment. If Liverpool pulled off the quadruple, I think it would be without a doubt the greatest achievement any English club could have pulled off
of all time. Yes,
nobody's done it. To win the lot. As much as City fans can throw the Centurion stuff at it, but this would be the perfect antidote to it. But as you say, there's potential there that City Liverpool being the final of the Champions League to stop. Potentially, that could be that would be the last final. That would be the stop quadruple bid if it all went in Liverpool's favour, wouldn't it? So that would be quite the subplot. But the rest of the season's exciting. I mean, in the Championship, obviously, the fight for the playoffs is crazy.
Forest and Middlesbrough, the two giant killers, are in there with a chance. Forest especially, because they're in a great vein of form under Steve Cooper.
They are indeed. It's one of those things about having a cup run is that it can be very detrimental to your league season. However, it has been done in the past. We've witnessed it done for Burnley.
Yes, we did. 2009.
It massively stretches your squad to the absolute limits because it causes a fixture congestion. And you can end up playing 60-odd fixtures, which can't help. But it's been done in the past. And a good cup run can certainly build momentum, and I definitely think that's done it for Forest. Same can be said for Middlesbrough. Chris Wilder's style of football is one of the more attractive ones to see in the country. So there's a lot that can happen, and we've got, as you say, just under a month or so before the domestic season finishes. There's a lot to play for.
There is a lot to play for. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Chris, for your contributions today. It's been amazing to work with you two again. And, of course, to producer Russ, who's put the whole thing together. Right, we'll be back with you next week with league football. As the Premier League intensifies, we'll have the climax of the European season and, of course, the FA Cup final, May the 5th, 14th. Plus, then we'll have the Women's FA Cup a week later. And, of course, in the summer, we have the Women's European Championships as well, on July the 1st, all coming up for you on the TC Hub and all platforms. But today, it's Palace were very, very unfortunate. They had a couple of chances at 0-0, but Ruben Loftus-Cheek, the forgotten man, the former Crystal Palace loanee, hit a fantastic shot. And then Mason Mount has done his both Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount, the two goal scorers today for Chelsea, have done their England prospects no harm at all for Qatar come November with two magnificent goals between them. Chelsea go to Wembley in a month's time to play Liverpool in a repeat of the Carabao Cup. And let's hope we don't get a 0-0 draw. But well done to Chelsea. Well done to Liverpool as well. You can hear that commentary later on, of course, with Russ, who's recorded that for you. And he will bring you that very shortly for you. But from all of us here at Wembley on a terrific afternoon for Chelsea, from Trevor, from Chris, and from myself, JB, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday and a very happy Easter to you all. Good night.